What up? What up? What's? Yeah, we're just hopping right in, man. I'm just gonna hop right in. Fucking, we'll keep this shit going in the background here for a little second. But welcome everybody. Welcome to the 007 episode of the Deep Seated Podcast.
Number 7.
That is why we had the classic James Bond intro there.
Hell yeah! And this really is classic.
Oh my god!
What was it? 64.
1964.
That's fucked.
Fucking pussy galore in this one. Oh man, all the classic names of that shit, like that they would always have, like Money Penny and Pussy Galore and fucking who is so fucking
dude. They had some of the best visuals for intros. Hey,
oh, absolutely, James Bond, dude. Like, look at this. Man. This is 1964, and they had just the idea.
The projections.
Yeah, projection over the fucking gold painted girl for Goldfinger. Like
come on,
check them out now. That's so hype. But
so good.
Fuck, dude. So yeah, I need to go on a little binge watch of some old school Bond films, man.
Yeah, we should.
I'd be down. Fucking, we could even do. Yeah, we could do a little Twitch stream of that shit or some shit. That'd be sick. Do some. Oh, dude. Is that Odd Job?
Yeah.
Is Odd Job in this one? Odd Job.
That's homie that throws his hat, right?
Yeah. And then what was
Austin Powers?
Yeah, what was the Austin Powers
character?
Who
throws the shoe?
What was his name?
Oh
my god.
I don't remember what that is, but yeah, when they knock it off, he's like, "Who throws a shoe?" Honestly,
who throws a shoe? Honestly,
and this isn't. He throws his hat and it cuts the head off of a statue, right?
That's right.
That's what it is, right? Classic scene.
Austin Powers, Odd Job. What do they call him?
They don't do they use the same name?
No, they didn't use the same name. It was something silly. Anyways, whatever. I'd probably have to
maybe something foot to make fun of the shoe thing. I don't know.
Oh man, but yeah. So what's going on, my dude? How have you been? What's new in your world?
Well, getting pretty stoked. Today is Sunday. Tuesday.
It is.
I'm gonna go see one of my top 10 favorites, Kid Cudi.
Oh shit! Man. You've been talking about that one for a minute.
I'm so excited, dude. I bought tickets. I feel like almost 2 months ago.
Yeah.
For this concert.
Oh yeah, it would be a while ago. I remember you talking about. Just got them tickets.
Oh fuck, dude. Yeah, I remember seeing it released on. I think it was Twitter. Oddly enough, even though I don't really use Twitter, that's what I saw it on. It was his manager tweeted something out.
Speaking of, I just got a little retweet here of I got to retweet our podcast, but keep going.
Yeah, I think it was his manager tweeted out, like, hinting that he was going to go on tour.
Right.
And yeah, then a couple days later it was like on everything, but yeah, he's going on tour for his last album, Passion Pain and Demon Slaying.
When did his last album just come out?
It came out it was like beginning of December.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it was supposed to come out, and it was one of those ones that got pushed back because I don't know if you remember last year, he checked himself in to like get help with depression and stuff because he was like, he went through that, like, suicidal and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
For people that like do know that don't, but Kid Cudi's been very vocal about his mental health and mental health awareness. He goes through lots of shit
like that, dude.
Yeah, and he's gone through a lot. And last year, it became too much. And I remember he tweeted about it, doing this big thing, saying how he's not in a good space, and he checked himself in because he knew that he would have done something. Right. So he was like,
yeah. When you're catching yourself,
he caught himself. Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't.
No, man. And that's the scary part about it is, like, I mean, as somebody who like suffers with anxiety and depression to the day, like it's still ever going to be a burden. I've realized that it's going to be something that I'm ever going to just like, it's just ever going to be part of the struggle, and like finding the things that I can do to mitigate it and be the best on the best side of it, at least, right? Mm-hmm. So understanding how those thoughts they can trail, man, and if that shit just keeps on going down deeper and deeper, like,
gets dark real fast.
Yeah, exactly, man. So I can only imagine in a state like that too, when you're so far removed, like as a celebrity, when you don't even know who you can actually kind of like talk to.
Yeah, who you can be real with, because like most people just like are like yes men.
Yeah, yeah, for real, man.
They'll agree with you, or they'll change their opinion to go with what you would go with, just
Yeah,
because they just want to be around you, you know.
That's man, they've joked about that in like so many different movies and stuff. When like somebody's like winning like gambling matches or like video games, they did that on 30 Rock with Tracy Morgan, and he would always win video games. And then when Kenneth the Page becomes part of their posse, he like plays I don't know if you ever watched 30 Rock.
I've watched it. Yeah.
So you know,
I haven't seen this episode though.
Okay, so Kenneth, you know, obviously Kenneth the Page is like super like hick hillbilly, always fun loving everybody. Like he just always wants to be happy, I guess, but isn't very aware of things. So when he joins Tracy Morgan's crew, he has his yes men. What are his yes men's name again?
Oh,
the two huge guys, right? And so they always let Tracy Morgan win. And then when he comes in and he just like plays them in video games, he's like, nobody's ever beat me in video games. Like, what's going on here? And then it just like freaks out. But he
realizes everyone's just been playing him.
Yeah, and then he like within that episode actually kind of like freaks out, realizes that nobody's been honest with him.
Right. Probably just like how much of my life is.
Yeah. And like as much as it's a joke around it just being like a fucking, you know, like losing in a video game at first, it's literally like
as little as that.
Yeah, it's extrapolated into the big thing when it's like, man, when it comes time to have somebody talk to you, you can't even have somebody play a video game with you, honestly, right?
Yeah,
you know,
for sure. But going back to that, and because of that, his album got pushed back, and then he was at Complex Con just before, like he was supposed to perform, and they were like, weren't sure if he was like in the right state to, but he wanted to kind of get through what he needed to at this. I think it was like one where you go, you live in there kind of thing, you know what I mean? And you're just surrounded by the people that help you, people going through the same stuff, right? And then I was like, sick, I feel way better. Out, boom, went to Complex Con, and then album got finished up, then got released. But that album was so good, dude. It was I'm a huge Kid Cudi fan. Like I said, he's in my top 10. So I was waiting for this album to come out for so long. And the album that he had previous, Speeding Bullet to Heaven, was not really received that well. I don't know if you listen to it. It's cool. Like
spent much time with Cudi, to be honest.
Out of all his albums, that's the one he says he bases his album covers off of like old records. Like he makes them, he designs them to be like record covers. He prints all his albums on vinyl. He wants them to have that kind of nostalgic like record vibe. So out of all his album covers, this one's the most like vinyl-esque. It's like it's like a picture of him with like his shirt open in like kind of like a field, and it's like it's kind of wavy, like tripped out.
Okay.
But anyways, that album wasn't really received that well. I don't know if you've heard it, but it has a lot of these like Beavis and Butthead samples in it.
Nice.
Like they got them to do like these skits and stuff.
Oh, they actually
Cudi.
fucking
and they talk about Cudi and stuff in these skits.
It was Mike Judge, and who else did the other voice? Or did Mike Judge even do one of the voices?
I'm not sure.
He was just one of the
Beavis and Butthead was like just before my time. Yeah. It was that was prime your time.
I fucking I cut in some clips in my vlog the other day.
Oh, did you? Okay, yeah. I was just too young to get on to ride that wave.
Like it was my vlog episode 69. And then I missed the title sequence.
That one. Okay,
so I joked about it, and then I'm like, it was episode 69, and then Beavis and Butthead just like, it's just like
classic. But he straight up, he has like that shit.
That is so good.
And they even do skits about Cudi, and they're like, oh, Cudi gave us these mushrooms, like this trip out and shit. But
fucking love Beavis and Butthead so much.
Yeah, it was just like he says it was like an album he just had to get out of his system.
Right.
You know what I mean? But to the mass, people were like, what the fuck is this, right? This is not what we expected. But anyways, his newest album, which I'm going to go see the tour for, Passion Pain and Demon Slaying. Sick name.
Yeah.
Awesome album.
Sick tour name.
It was it was classic.
It was tour that though.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's that tour, yeah. Is so Cudi-esque.
Right.
Like it was exactly what I wanted. It was old Cudi, like him doing his like humming and his melodies. Like he's so good at doing these melodies and hooks for people. Like when he's featured on songs, sometimes it's just him doing these hooks, like these humming and kind of just little melodies that he sings. Because that's how he starts off a lot of his music, is with just humming to songs. And then he translates it, kind of like Kanye, and then he translates it into words
writing and
shit.
Stuff. You know what I'm saying?
But yeah, I'm super excited.
Who's he? Is he have any openers?
I don't think it's advertised with openers.
Okay, yeah. I'm sure there is.
There could be.
Yeah.
There's some. It's at the Peony Forum. So okay. I've gone to a couple shows there. Some have just gone straight into the artist.
Right.
And the only one that there was an opener, it was actually the guy's DJ, just kind of like playing shit and like trying to hype the crowd up.
That's usually at least what there is, because it's rare for somebody to just come out to like dead audience.
Yeah. But
Cat, you want to not do that?
yeah, pipe down over there.
Cat's being a little crazy too.
Yeah, I'm fucking dude. I'm so excited.
And you and your homie are going to that one, yeah.
Yeah. And it's up to because I'm sure he's gonna play the album front to back, hopefully. And then obviously he's gonna have his like classic bangers he's gonna play. Like I've seen clips on Instagram and stuff of people that have gone to the tour at different stops.
That's the cool thing the cool thing, and then the bad thing too. If you want it all to be fresh, you'll be like, I'm still gonna go find out what the set list is. Fuck it.
The main one I saw was when he went to Chicago,
right,
which is so sick. I don't know if did you ever listen to Kanye's last album, Life of Pablo?
Not fully, but I listened to a bunch of little pieces off of it.
Okay, for sure you know this song, Father Stretch My Hands.
Yes.
It's got part 1 and part 2. So part 1, the second song, it actually starts off with Kid Cudi when it's like beautiful morning, like there's that humming and like that little singing hook. It's like, you're the sunshine in my morning, babe, nothing unwanted. That's Kid Cudi. And then that's the song where Kanye has the classic like, if I fuck this model and she just bleached her asshole and I get bleach on my t-shirt, that line, that's that song.
Right.
So I had a clip of him in Chicago, and then that beat starts, and it starts off with this like this big like gospel chorus before Cudi goes in, and then it's just his backdrop for this tour. It's kind of dark and misty fog, and it's just like these shadowy trees with kind of trippy colors. So it's a cool presentation, and so it's him just in the shadows as like the beat starts, and then you're like, oh sick, he's gonna sing that hook because that's a fucking awesome song. And then like right before it drops and he sings, you just see someone else walk out on stage, and it's Kanye, and then everyone's just like fucking loses it.
Fucking loses
well, I mean,
shit.
Chicago, like Kanye's from Chicago, brings him out, and then fucking does that song, right? So I wonder if
hometown vibes.
I wonder if certain areas he's gonna bring different people on, maybe.
That'd be pretty fucking rad.
You know, because you're just expecting to go see them. And then boom, like fucking Kanye walks out, or like
or whoever, or just like
whoever, but
mid song, whoever's doing the feature just actually comes out.
So many artists do that, where it'll be like, oh, Weeknd brought out Drake, or like this person brought out this person just randomly at a fucking show, and it's not advertised just because they're just homies. You know what I mean?
It's so easy to do with that shit.
So I'm low key expecting someone to come out to do like another song, which I'm hyped. And then last Friday was the 7-year anniversary of Man on the Moon 2, which was one of his albums again.
Right.
Which again, super classic album. Best known for like Mr. Rager or like Erase Me, that song. Kanye's featured on that song too. One of his more like poppy songs, but super killer album. So I've just kind of been on this Cudi wave right now as the concerts approach.
You get yourself extra hyped. You're just like, man, I want to know all the insides and outs.
So excited, man.
Fucking that's hype, dude. That's gonna be so sick.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use a little segue out of you saying that when you just said Man on the Moon.
Yeah.
I just watched the Jim and Andy documentary on the
what's that?
Oh, if you've not heard about this yet.
No.
You might have, but
I don't know. I may not know that I know.
Yeah. Okay, things? So this is okay,
Jim
so you know
and
the
Andy?
movie?
Is that what you said?
Yes, Jim and Andy. So you know the movie Man on the Moon with Jim Carrey where he plays Andy Kaufman?
Yeah.
fucking amazing movie.
Crazy.
Like one of my most favorite movies growing up.
Excuse
like
me. Yeah, amazing performance. Eh?
that. Yeah, exactly. So okay, then maybe you don't know.
Okay,
about
you're like
this.
pin that. Okay,
Okay, so
next.
that Man
How
on the
this is
Moon, right?
connected,
So
yeah.
the Jim and Andy is Jim and Andy Kaufman. It's the behind the scenes documentary that they filmed during the filming of
Jim
Man
Carrey's
on the Moon.
movie.
Yeah. So it's because in that
Whoa.
movie he was such a character actor that he
Mm.
became Andy Kaufman, and like literally
Totally.
on set, off set, when he went home, when he went out,
Yeah.
he
Kind of
literally
like Heath Ledger, the Joker.
yeah,
style.
yeah, where he
Just
was,
boom.
yeah.
Went into character.
but almost even more intense, where he legit like talked about how he like kind of removed himself from himself and actually feels like he got in touch with Andy to the point where like it gets crazy, man. Like the documentary was so sick.
Is
But
Jim Carrey in that one too?
dude, this is what it is. It sits down. It starts off. It's Jim Carrey now sitting in a chair and talking. It starts going back and talking about all this shit because they filmed this whole thing, and then a cease and desist was put out on the documentary behind the scenes filming.
Why?
Because they didn't want to release it because it would possibly portray Jim Carrey as an asshole. Because he was such an like asshole in like when he was when he was
playing the
Andy
character
Kaufman,
to
yeah.
a T so much.
Yeah, when he was Andy Kaufman, when he was Tony Clifton, he was throwing water in people's faces. He was antagonist. So like
On set or like
no,
off set? He was.
there
like,
was no difference.
Totally,
there was no
fuck,
difference. There was no difference. So
Okay.
so literally the behind the scenes when camera with the movie cameras.
So people may think when he's not working offset that he's a fucking asshole.
Yeah, because
saying.
he's like still being Tony Clifton and like fucking like smacking girls' asses and throwing water in fucking people's faces and like driving cars into walls and
Holy
like
fuck, eh?
doing everything that Tony Clifton would have done.
Just loose cannon.
Getting so drunk that he's passed out on couches where they have to pick him up and like take him to makeup and put his makeup on while he's passed out and like
Some rock star
some
shit,
crazy
dude.
shit where he just like became
Yeah.
Andy Kaufman. There was no method acting, it was just like, no, he just removed himself and became Andy Kaufman. So it's him now, big bearded Jim Carrey, sitting in a fucking chair, reminiscing back, talking about this whole thing, because now they're allowed to release it. And then they turn it into like a documentary with like a few stages and stuff.
Yeah. Nice.
Oh my god, I want to watch it again tonight. Like I swear.
Where'd you watch it?
It's on Netflix. Just came out like 2 days ago.
Oh shit.
Yeah. And
Okay,
fucking
I'm gonna watch
yeah, so hyped, dude. I won't say too much more then because but yeah, just
Spoiler alert.
yeah, but it doesn't even matter because like I could literally tell you about it and,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it wouldn't matter because you have to see it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he's like it is so crazy that it isn't a acting thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like it literally he just found a way to tap in to somebody who had
Interesting.
passed. It almost seems that way.
I wonder. I'd be more interested in knowing not just how he got into character, but I'd be
Right.
more interested in knowing how he got out of character. If
That's in there.
he was that in like
That's in
that
there.
in it, how they were like, okay, that's a wrap, guys. Like 4 weeks of filming, 6 weeks usually. It's kind of how it is, right?
Yeah.
4-6 weeks to film a movie.
Oh, I think they were doing it for months.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he was
But for you to be like
So to
that,
be in that
and
state for
then
months.
oh shit.
boy, you gonna be that guy?
Sorry.
It's okay.
Random numbers, probably fucking Telus or some shit.
I'm just fucking-
But
but yeah, like they go through that stage, and
I
it's
totally
so
fucking. Oh yeah, so I'd be interested in knowing how he snapped out of it to get back to
Yeah.
fucking Jim Carrey.
yeah. To the crazy parts when he was out of it, and then people want him to go back into it, and he's just like,
He's like, no, man.
I can't do
It's
it.
kind of like,
Like
well, it's kind of like the Joker, where I remember after Heath Ledger died,
yeah,
I remember reading this interview with Jack Nicholson because he
right.
played
Yeah,
my old
my
Joker.
favorite Joker still, man, to be honest.
And they talked to him about his death and his performance, kind of tying in how obsessed he was with that character, how
He locked himself in a room for
Heath
6
Ledger
weeks.
literally locked himself in that hotel room, right? Like
6 weeks.
just fucking
With a
trying to
fucking notepad.
blinders, just trying to get into this character.
Yeah,
and they asked him what he thought about the whole situation, right? And Jack Nicholson was quoted saying that, "I told him to be careful with this role." Like, I'll never forget reading just that.
Yo.
I'm totally paraphrasing, but
Yeah.
But
I know what
that
you're
is
saying.
like, boom, was just burned into my psyche after I read it. I was like,
Oh, for
fuck,
sure.
that's crazy.
Well, because that's why Jack Nicholson's is still my favorite. I mean, Heath Ledger's right there, but Jack Nicholson's Joker, there's something about it. He's
got a
riding-
very expressive face.
Yeah.
Like,
But there's just like the parts where like just like I'm talking about like where he's like boo,
his mannerisms,
like he just like does like these weird
I'd have to watch it again. It's been
killer
so
fucking
long.
noises and then but like he rides the line of like, here's what completely insane is, and he's over here like so far gone but so composed, like where it's almost
He's
like
in control, but
yeah
it doesn't seem like it.
where it's like the Heath Ledger Joker is almost just like always so fiendishly over the top. It's amazing.
So
it's his own dark.
I really liked his mannerisms and shit when he'd just be like, you know, like,
do you know what? Do you want to know what the reason for that was?
Licking the scars inside his.
You want to know why he developed
shit?
that mannerism? Because the makeup around his fucking lips forever needed to be like moist, or it would peel off, and then they'd have to do more hours of makeup.
Oh, so he
would just start doing this, and then it just turned into a thing where it became this creepy fucking
this,
tick.
Like, yeah, totally.
So now when you fucking watch it and you see some of them, you're like, man, he's doing good work there. He's like, oh, fucking like,
dude,
because you knew it
I
would
need
be
to
more
watch that
hours
again
of
too.
makeup. Oh
Yeah,
that one's so good.
good.
Both of those roles are so good, and like now hearing that quote, you can almost like appreciate both roles further, because like you can see the control of Jack Nicholson's Joker, where like he can
I feel like it's not often there's roles like that where someone they're given complete freedom to be like a fucking psycho.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, like how far am I gonna go with this, and how like weird and whatever. But you can see how it's almost like so appealing.
Yeah.
That like you're like, oh shit, I gotta be a bad guy, right? And then you're like, you just gonna do all this fucked up shit, and they're like, you could see how they would like start to like it and enjoy it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And be like, whoa, like it would almost be
you
like
fall into the role, and like, I mean, like anybody does as a good method actor, but when it gets to the point when you literally have that much freedom to go into your deepest, like creepiest fucking weird ass shit, right? Where it's just like stuff that freaks you out, and you're like, oh, this must freak other people out then. Or
like I feel like it would just be so like not energetic, it's not the right word, but like empowering.
Yeah, empowering for
you
real.
Know what I mean? Where you just be riding this like buzz. You just be, you know,
dude, like, oh fucking
that you'd be like hyped. You're like, can't wait to go to work tomorrow so I can like get back into this character.
You'd
like
start doing that weird shit at home, and like you'd be just bouncing that energy off yourself to make the shit weirder, and then recording yourself, and then like, man, like and
looking
like
at yourself in the mirror, doing fucking faces, and like throwing glasses at the wall and shit, like just trying to just totally be.
Whereas when you're like, I can imagine in lots of movies when they're casting psychopaths or whatever, they still have a very specific direction that they want it taken. You know what I mean? Like imagine like even in like Christian Bale and Psycho back in the day. You know what I mean? Like they obviously like go off the walls with your nuttiness, but here's the things that we want you to be able to do, and how do you portray it, and have this like
they're directing you.
Yeah. Where it's just like, here, okay, so we have an idea for the makeup. Whereas with Heath Ledger's, they didn't even they said do your own, like, or I think he approached them just being like, let me do my own makeup, and then that's where he fucking just like fucking.
Oh really?
Yeah, you didn't know that? That was Heath Ledger's own shit. He did the makeup himself. That's why it felt really authentic. They did obviously all the scars and shit, but just like he fucking did all the makeup and shit at home, just smeared, caked on some white fucking powder, smeared some black around his eyes, and then just dirtily did some fucking lipstick around his mouth, and there you go. He wanted it to look like that, where it was just some fucking distraught, like,
it's awesome.
Somebody who would still, you know, have the self-respect to put on his makeup, but like be such a psychopath that he didn't
care what it looked like.
Yeah, like, man, the depth of those characters are so amazing. I need to watch both of those.
Yeah. That's
Actually,
on the list.
Those would be great. Twitch streams. Fucking
those would
Batman
be
movies.
awesome back to back.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll
do that. We'll roll up some fucking dubs and get some coffee and like maybe we'll order pizza or some shit and we'll just like fucking watch Batman. The Batmans.
Yeah.
With like the Batman and Jokers. There, that more or less. You know what the funny thing is though? I've still not seen Suicide Squad. Nor do I kind of want to. I don't really want to.
Did we have this talk already?
No,
Did I talk to you about this movie? Fuck. I only watched it one time. I
don't care about spoilers either, so
I don't really remember too much about it, to be honest. Yeah, I watched it once in theaters. I have to watch it again to give it a fair try because
right.
We're so spoiled with the Marvel movies and the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
That when this came out, first off, when I saw the trailer, I was like, yo. Like when they used like I think they used Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
And it was fucking dude, they edited it so good that I got so
that was prime time
holy fuck
movie preview editing where it's just like
it was like
if you put that editing on any movie, you're gonna be like, holy shit.
It was so dude, but it was actually edited so well. I got so gassed up watching it. And when I went to go watch the movie, honestly I was like a little disappointed.
Well, yeah,
because
it was
I think
I haven't even seen it and I know it's dog shit.
I think my issue with it was they had so many characters in it, okay? And it was your introduction to all these characters, right? So
that keep going. Yeah.
Okay. So for like a 2-hour movie or whatever, you're seeing all of these people for the first time, right?
It's like what, 8 people?
A lot. And you don't know that for the average person is not going to know anything about these people. No backstory, no nothing, right? So in all fairness, you have to think of it as that. Where like video games, right? When they make video games, they have to be like dummy proof where when it's like those free range worlds,
right?
It's like no instructions, but it has to be dummy proof that average Joe can pick up and figure it out as they go along. Yeah. So this or even movie,
just like the simple shit, like in like Street Fighter back in the day, a character pops up and then it has like a 3-frame flash where it'll be like Guile standing in front of like a military vehicle and then like his country and then something else. You know what I mean? So it's like this person, he does this, he's from here.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like at least.
So I was like, okay, there's all these sick people. Like I have no idea what's up with any of them. No backstory.
Yeah.
And they just spent most of the movie on like 2 characters. Right. And then a little
Harley Quinn and fucking was probably the main one, right?
Like Will Smith's character.
Right. Deadshot.
They go into a bit and.
Because I mean, let's be honest, he probably had one of the higher salaries of that movie.
Yeah. They didn't do enough of the Joker.
No.
And
because honestly, they removed a lot of it.
Yeah. And he was Jared Leto was. I heard this is what I heard. Allegedly, he was choked.
Also, allegedly, he hasn't watched it.
No, because I heard that he was choked because at the premiere, he was like, imagine filming all this shit.
Well, I mean, outside of that,
and you go.
Yeah.
And he at the end he was like, "What the fuck? So much of my shit
where's all those scenes?
Not in it, right?"
Yeah.
So I heard he was choked, that they cut all like a lot of his stuff that I guess he was hyped for people to witness, whatever. But anyways, my biggest problem with that movie was too many characters, and they don't tell you enough about all of them, and they focus on like 2 really, and then I just wanted more, and it was like they tried to fit too much in such a short amount. And they don't do enough.
I've had this problem with a lot of movies.
And it was edited
recently.
weird. And especially the Joker thing. I was like, man, he shouldn't have even been in it. Because like, that's such an amazing character that you can't just like pepper him into the fucking script.
Or you make him kind of like the main thing and then all the side people are kind of his cronies that might be like, want to be as badass as him.
Or barely have him in the movie and then do a fucking side one. Yeah. You know,
which I've rumored that they I don't know, again allegedly they've said that they want to do one, but I don't think they want to do another movie with him as Joker. Which
I don't think he would want to do another one.
I don't think he's a good person to play Joker at all.
No,
not even the slightest. Like I like even just like the portrayal. Like from the first screen cap of seeing like what the physical appearance of that Joker, I was like, this is gonna be a piece of shit. It was so bad, like just down to the stupid tattoos that he had. Like Joker is not gonna have ha 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 tattooed in like
the weird like jail fucking
yeah
shit tattoos.
and then but then having a mixture of like artsy tattoos with like clean, super well done tattoos and is no. Just and then like
so visually off the bat you were like
it was just trying too hard to be with like what the culture was at the time. Like, oh, we gotta give him grills, we gotta give him full flat fucking tattoos, we gotta give him knuckle tattoos, we gotta give him like, you know, face tattoos are breaking the scene right now, we gotta give him face tattoos. Like it was very much trying too hard rather than just letting like the actual characters speak for themselves. I feel at least
like
because there's so much
too like gimmicky.
Yeah, there's so much depth to those characters on their own. You don't have to adapt them. I mean, if you adapt them to the time, let it happen naturally. Like a Heath Ledger doing his own makeup, like you know what I mean, that kind of shit where it's like that shit comes across natural.
Yeah.
So when it becomes across forced as shit, and he's like
it's
driving,
obvious.
driving around in like fucking like supercars with underglow, and like you're like, I
forgot that. Yeah,
I don't think. And then you find out that it's not even actually a supercar because they didn't want to pay licensing for a supercar, so they got this car that's like got like a V6 fucking body that they a guy just fabricates supercar bodies
for not
on them.
Watching the movie, you know quite a bit.
Oh, dude, I go into shit. When it's something I like. I mean, I have Batman and the Joker tattooed on me. So when I hear about some shit, I'm like, oh, cool. Let's see what's going on with this one. And I'm like, oh. And then I see all like the YouTube clips coming out of them filming it and shit. And I'm just really? Like I haven't seen Batman versus Superman yet.
Neither have I.
I haven't seen the last couple Marvel movies. I haven't seen
the Marvel ones.
I haven't seen the last Transformers movie. I don't know. This is one thing I wanted to bring up to you because I know that I didn't see the new Transformers one either, and same with the Ninja Turtles one because I haven't even seen the first one,
dude.
And I have the Ninja Turtles tattooed on.
Don't.
Yeah.
Do not watch it, dude.
I'm such
it's
a
like
Ninja Turtles fan.
The Michael Bay, right? He did it, and it's like they're fucking giants. First of all, and they're like just and they're aliens, aren't they?
Or no, they ixnayed that part, didn't they? Because I remember honest, at first they were like,
I think they alluded to it, yeah.
And then they was like Michael Bay, though.
But they're huge and they're like fucking shredded. Yeah. And then you have fucking Shredder.
Right.
And dude, when
one of the most badass fucking characters.
When they have the battle with him, he's literally a transformer. Like, I'm not even kidding you, dude. They're like on top of this building, and he's got this insane metal suit, and he's ginormous, and he's literally a fucking transformer. And his shit like pops out like Inspector Gadget style. And you got the classic like the his like the blue line like reflecting in scenes. You know, they do that in Transformers a lot. That's like the Michael Bay signature. I swear, that lighting. That's all fucking in it, and I was just like,
it is lens flares.
Is it? Yeah. Okay, but
lens flares and explosions. That's Michael Bay.
I was just like watching it, and I was like, "Fuck, this shit is." Because I remember seeing the original,
dude. It holds up
in theaters.
It holds up
because it's fucking real people in suits, and you're
amazing
like, "This is
animatronic
so
suits that still blow your mind on how they work."
Sick, dude. It's like, just practical effects, man. It's like.
You can't
fuck with that shit. And Casey Jones.
Dude, the scene when he's in the fucking place that's on fire.
Dog, that guy
has to break out the back door. Just that whole shit.
And
fucking nostalgic as fuck.
Yeah, and I remember when they go to that house, it's like him and April and the turtles, and they're staying at that like abandoned house. Yeah. And there's like that scene with which guy is it? Is it Leonardo when he's all like depressed and shit? He's in the bathtub. It's like that super like somber scene. He's like,
or is that Raphael?
Might be Raphael
because he's really sad a lot in those movies and really like pissed off and needing to be by himself and shit.
Yeah, they really personified the turtles like.
Oh yeah.
Really well, you know. It wasn't just all these high notes. Everything's fucking surfer mentality, all cheesy and shit. It's like. These were like real characters with real moods. And like they had their highs and their lows.
To what I'm trying to, which is the big topic I'm going to bring up here is that like, I want to see where you stand on nowadays superhero movies. So this is my main.
Okay, sorry.
This is my main qualm that I'm going to get into is the fact that we were just kind of alluding to with the Suicide Squad movie. Too many characters. They're trying to delve into all of them. Then obviously the pay cuts make sure that certain people get better
screen time,
screen time and things of that nature. But then I find this other thing with newer superhero movies where they try to make every character be majority relatable to like everybody, you know what I mean? We're like, this guy, he can't be too offensive because then these people won't like him, and then these people won't like him. So we're gonna now have 8 characters that we're gonna try to have everybody like each character, even though
because we need them to be somewhat like,
well, we need to be able to,
like families are gonna come and watch these movies, right? And Burger King's not gonna fucking be a sponsor if we don't have like.
Then like if everybody else,
sure,
then
so
on
much
the
of
back
that.
end of it, you have like so many different writers and then creatives, and everybody wants their finger in the pie. So then now if all of a sudden your one character is in a mix of 8 and you're amongst 20 writers, you're going to want to make sure that your character or your input, your input into the movie is majority likable. It's not this like little cast off, right? So it gets into this weird thing where it's like back in old movies, you would have stereotypical, or like, would it be atypical? Whatever, like atypical. I think atypical might be the right word for that, but let's just say stereotypical.
For like personalities?
Yeah, like very characteristically stereotypical people where it'd be over the top, where clearly not many people aren't going to like that guy. But that's his character. You're
like,
not supposed.
This character has a short fuse.
Yeah,
so he's fucking
and that's
douche to a lot of people.
Yeah, exactly. So back to the turtles. What you were bringing up, it's like each one had their distinct fucking thing.
Traits.
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%.
So when you're growing up as a kid, every kid, because we're all different, had their favorite fucking turtle.
That's how everything worked. Like how we were laughing about the Three Ninjas thing. You got the Goonies characters. You got Power Rangers.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I like this guy because he's fucking.
Rangers, all racism aside.
Like you like certain characters because of their personalities, right? You're like you.
It was more relatable that way.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I connect to fucking this dude because he's kind of nerdy.
Yeah,
like
for real.
And he likes this. I like that kind of stuff too. So like, I fuck with this guy
rather than trying to be this majority relatable character. You know what I mean? Which is going to appeal to a more massive audience, but it's not going to have as stronger of a connection.
Like, that's not a real person.
Exactly. So that's my main problem I found with so many. I haven't had this connection with a lot of these movies because they're just trying to be too broad and sell as much merchandise and sell as much figures, and then the creatives have as much of their name and the screen time, and it's fucking hard, right?
I'm trying to think out of the more recent ones, which character I really connected with. I'm trying to think. Like one that I was like, okay, yo, like, because really, like we're saying, it's totally not like how it used to be.
No, man. I think the last one that I felt pretty good about was like the newest Spider-Man.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Homecoming.
Probably only character that I consistently can relate with is Spider-Man. Always has been.
For real.
Dude, day one, Spider-Man has always been my favorite.
Mine too, because he's just like the nerdy outcast kid in school, but like is really good at what he does.
Yes.
And then like, it's just fucking,
I'm like, yo, I relate to this character because I feel your pain, bro. Like,
yeah, dude.
I get liking shit that mainstream doesn't like, and you just kind of feel like you don't fit in. You know what I mean? Where you're like, I don't care about like going to fucking parties and being fake and like going out with people trying to pretend I'm like the most fun in the world and like super energetic and just putting on this facade, because like even just the thought of doing that, like people are totally like that, right? But even just the thought of that is actually like mentally exhausting to me. I'm like, fuck, it's just so fake.
I've said it to you many a times before, like running my own business and stuff. Like I can do it because I'm a creative and I love creating stuff and pushing out things that I'm good at.
Yeah.
But I'm never going to be that person that's excels at bullshitting my way through stuff, which is like such a huge part of business, which is so fucked.
Unfortunately.
But, yeah, exactly. It's just it feels like just even thinking about it.
But these days it doesn't have to be.
Exactly. That's the cool thing. Exactly.
So people like us can break through that fucking
Just be like, yo, you know what? To be honest, I don't like bullshitting my way through some stuff, but here's what I do.
Yeah.
What you think? You know?
Because I mean, through platforms, you can reach out to people doing without you literally reaching out. It's just you putting stuff out, but it reaches other people.
Right.
That like those niche things that you like, and then when you're like, holy fuck, there's people
throw
that
it out into the
there's
ethos.
people that fucking fuck with this shit too. Or
It's the message in the bottle, except there's actually people getting the message and being able to respond. You're just like,
yeah, totally,
"Ah."
yeah. But to go back to I totally agree. The new Spider-Man, I think,
yeah, that one was really good.
fucking so good.
Aunt
man.
May, good choice on that one.
Yes. And one thing I really appreciated is they didn't go into him fucking getting bit again.
Yes.
The whole 20-minute build up to explain. It's like,
I
dude,
feel like
it's
they
been
had
done.
to.
People know, man.
Yeah, they had to in the first couple because there were so many people that didn't even know Spider-Man, right?
Well,
but we're so far into the
let alone the first
world
one,
now.
the Tobey Maguire one. Obviously, you had to because they're the first Spider-Man movie.
For sure. But I mean, nowadays
just,
with like superhero prevalence, like everybody knows Batman, parents shot. Spider-Man, bit by spider. You know what I mean? Like Superman comes from Kryptonite or Krypton. Like, you know, like that's just like common knowledge amongst people. Like, whereas like when we were younger, like they're like people were like, "Fuck, you look Spider-Man? What the fuck?" You're like, "What the fuck, dude?"
You're like, you don't?
You
and
don't
dude, remember like, dude, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, Spider-Man was a secret character.
Yeah,
I was
he
like,
my
yo,
most played character in that.
And
for real. The kickflip with the
catches board, yeah, fucking God, dude, fuck yeah, and yeah, day one, Spider-Man's been my shit, and like I said, like getting into doing what I do, like doing art and drawing people and stuff. How I got into it was drawing comic book characters.
That shit. I remember that shit.
Like I wasn't necessarily reading comics and like super into story and stuff. It was the art that attracted me.
That was always the same with myself.
And for me,
I didn't read a lot of comic books, but I would always draw or buy them for the art. You know? For
me, like Marvel, it would always be Marvel because Marvel had like my favorite images and art and inkers. Like,
yeah, man, there was something about the people that they had, and then the way that their characters were portrayed.
Like then I found out about Todd McFarlane.
Yeah,
holy
which
fuck,
got
dude,
us starts
next level.
In Marvel.
He did my favorite, my favorite Spider-Man.
Best Spider-Man, best Wolverine.
Oh, dude, so good. What was I saying? Oh, fucking yeah, Tony Hawk, the secret character, and then because I grew up on like fighting games, Mortal Kombat, huge one, and Street Fighter, obviously. Do you remember? Side note, remember that fish and chip shop?
Yeah. Sea Shanty.
Sea Shanty, right? They had the fucking Street Fighter arcade machine in the back. Do you remember that?
Yeah, they did have that there for a fucking minute.
Yeah. I remember playing that shit. That's fucking back in the day.
Me and your bro used to go to that place almost every other day after school and get fries for a while.
I feel like
load them up.
I feel like it was right at the back wall, the side, the Street Fighter one, and I feel like there was another one that I just kind of just was like, fuck you, because Street Fighter was the shit.
Street Fighter is like, that's what I need.
But my favorite, and what else was there? There's like Tekken, and then there's so many fighting games from early PlayStation that I got into. But my favorite, Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Yeah.
That's my favorite fighting one, and obviously
two
Spider-Man
was always my jam just because that's what I had.
Spider-Man was my fucking character.
Yep.
Fuck yeah.
Spider-Man was my character. Spider-Man, Wolverine, or Hulk.
Yeah, because you get to pick the three, right? So usually my go-tos.
That was my team.
Spider-Man and Iron Man.
Oh,
those were like
Iron
my go-tos.
Man was so good.
And then I would always rotate the third. Sometimes I would do Wolverine. Sometimes I'd do X-23.
Yeah.
The female version, basically.
Yeah. Fucking with you saying that. Two different things.
Cyclops.
First, well, back into like the movie shit though, is that the first Iron Man movie so fucking good. The rest of them still entertaining.
So good.
The rest of the Iron Man movies are still really good, but Iron Man 1 is just like so fucking good.
I think in my opinion, my least favorite one is Thor.
I haven't watched any of them. Fuck that shit.
The new one looks pretty cool. The
trailer on it
or something. But the first Thor, I didn't watch it for a while.
Yeah.
And dude, I'm not gonna lie, I turned it off.
Well, dude, even
I got
when
halfway
it was,
through and it was so slow, and I was like, "Fuck!" It was so
once Norse mythology
so much
mixed
downtime in it, and I was like, "This is
shit.
just not engaging enough."
I was never even engaged in the comic book or even the fucking the character design, anything about it. The whole thing was just like, okay, well that's a miss for me.
Yeah, that one I couldn't
fucking
personally I couldn't connect that well.
And then as you brought up X-23, Logan.
Yes,
Old Man Logan.
The new one. Yeah, because there was that. I was just talking to my brother about this last weekend because I watched Logan a couple days before.
Yeah.
But I was saying the one that came out before, because there's been a couple origin
there
ones
was
of
Wolverine.
Him. There's the original one when he's in Japan.
There's Wolverine Origins, and then there's the Wolverine.
Is that the
Japan one?
Okay, that one I didn't really like that much.
I didn't like
even
that
though
one
I
very
fucking
much.
love Japan.
Yeah, I know, but it went to that weird fucking robot shit with the Sentinel, like fucking samurai.
I don't know. That one I didn't really like.
I wasn't too huge on that one either.
When Logan came out, I didn't go watch it in theaters because I was like, eh.
Oh, I went and saw that in theaters.
But it was on Netflix.
Yeah.
And I watched it, and I was like,
fucking good.
It was one of those movies I watched, and I was like, yo, so glad I watched
Respect.
it. Way better than I expected. Yeah.
Fucking for sure. Yeah, that was one where I heard such good things where I'm like, okay, this is supposed to be the Redeemer.
I didn't really hear much about it.
Yeah.
But I just kind of watched the trailer, and then from watching the previous one, like I said, it kind of like just killed it a little bit.
It's
for
a
me.
little gross taste in the mouth for sure. So yeah, it's one of those things where it's interesting where it's like, as being somebody that spent so much time with comic books and loved the characters and all this shit, wishing that there was all these crazy movies about it. Growing up, and they start making all these movies about it, and it becomes pop culture.
Oh my god!
And then now I'm just everywhere.
Like, where did you get your comics from back in the day?
Time Machine, Hobbies, Collectibles, right across the street. And then like there would always be super random like trips to like comic book shops and other places and shit. But Time Machines, Hobbies, and Collectibles for sure.
Yeah.
And then you could also even find and then once we got the chapters. That brought in stuff where it was like
the Time Machine one. But
that was where you go.
They had like 3 different names. I remember it was like RC Pit Stop.
Yeah, Time Machine, Hobbies and Collectibles, and /RC Pit Stop.
Yeah, and then it switched again. Did it not?
I think it might have just gone to Time Machine, and then because RC Pit Stop moved. Because I still go to RC Pit Stop out in fucking Langley.
I was gonna say it's probably in Langley. Yeah. Yeah, that's where I used to go.
Yeah.
And I even at some point I worked out like this subscription type thing with them.
Right.
That whenever it was when it was like the newer Amazing Spider-Man comics. So this would have been I would have been in like grade 5.
Okay.
So 2007. No. So when I was in grade 7 was 9/11. 2001?
Yeah.
9/11 was 2001, right?
Yeah.
So maybe like 99, 98 was probably when I had this. I worked out the subscription thing with them.
Yeah.
Where when they would get their shipment of the new Amazing Spider-Man ones, that they would put one aside
for sure
of every one for me. And then so every week I would go in, or sometimes I wouldn't be able to make it in, and then they would just add up, and I would come in. I would get like the 2 or the 3 that I missed, and then I would just pay the fee for whatever.
Yeah. That's a good way. That's a good way to keep business back in the day before there was like electronic tabs and shit. It was you actually had to create relationships with people.
Yeah, and I would get it, and they would put it in a sleeve for me with a cardboard backing, so I'd get it. It'd already be packaged up, ready to go for me.
Dude, how sick is it? I mean, you could still probably go do that to comic book shops, but like going through the it's what developed into, I guess that's where I started. It's like records.
I was just gonna say where it started for when I really got into records.
Yeah.
Like the same feeling is where you get the smell, right? The smell of the old paper.
You get some musky ones, the old
and
batch.
just something tangible,
right?
Something you're phically holding something, you know, and it's like
it's got that little sticker up in the top hand corner, 75 cents.
Yeah, and you're like,
I could how many 3 of these today?
How many people like contributed to this thing? You know what I mean? Yeah, that's. Fucking, I love that about comics.
Yeah, I still, and that was the thing I found out a while ago when I picked up some comics. It was a good while ago now, but I was like, man, these shits are still only $1.50.
Dude, some are cheap as fuck. You get like 3 for $1.
It's just like, why would I not be buying more comic books? That's the feeling I have every single time.
I have a fucking stash.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Like old, like super sick, dude. Like old Spider-Man, old Amazing Spider-Man, the Todd McFarlane ones.
Right.
And then old X-Men. Like, fuck, dude.
Okay, yeah.
So sick.
When I was
Marvel, man.
When I was in audio engineering and I was recording bands and stuff, my good buddies from Edmonton, In the Midst of a Murder. Shout out homies. Now their new band is called Proto Sequence.
Wait, what?
Shout out Proto Sequence.
Midst of a Murder?
In the Midst of a Murder was the name of their old band.
Oh fuck. I thought you were like, yo, in the midst of a murder they were dealing with. I was like, wait, what?
I
fucking people you hang out with.
I went straight beeline on all that those shout outs there. But yeah, I was recording them and they went to a bunch of the guys went to the comic book store while we were recording drums, or I think it was while we were recording guitar. And so the rest of the band went to the comic book store and they picked me up some stuff. And I got like fucking Star Wars comic, Godzilla comic. I believe there was Spider-Man. I think it was a Spider-Man comic, but then this Hulk comic, which I'm going to eventually make into my leg sleeve. I've been planning this ever since. It's fucking Hulk in a fucking green.
Like the cover.
Yeah, the cover art is fucking Hulk in a fucking.
All about the cover art.
Yeah, oh, dude. In a fucking like green tinted fucking ocean coming out of the mouth of a Hulk shark, punching it in the face.
A Hulk shark?
Yeah.
Oh, sick.
Punching it in the face, and there's a bunch of other Hulk sharks in the background fucking like.
Whoa.
Yeah, because the whole thing in that fucking comic book is that the fucking. I think I have it here. No, it's still at my other place. Yeah. Is that the gamma radiation leaked out into the ocean and actually made these Hulk sharks.
Fucking.
Yeah. So he's legit fighting Hulk sharks.
So it's like the movie where you get like the Hulk fucking, what was it, like pit bulls?
Right.
It's like Pitbull and like
so.
A Doberman or something.
Yeah.
He ends up fighting, yeah.
And so I'm going to have that on this side on the right. And then the ocean's going to wrap around onto the left. And to where there was this Sam Keith who does the Max. He's also done variations like he animated Wolverine for a good while as well, when Wolverine was super fucking jacked and crazy hairy. And his face was always shadowy and just the eyes were popping out, and like he was always hunched over like this, and like that was always Sam
He's got
Keith.
like the fucking million teeth.
Yeah. So fucking Sam Keith did one of that where he did like series of just old man Logan and just series of Logan, where Logan is in the fucking pulling himself up the fucking dock, like a wooden, here's a wooden dock and then there's the pillars. He's hanging off one of the pillars, pulling himself up, pulling this damsel in distress out of the fucking water. Sick. And her fucking shit's all torn, but she's like looking like she's the happiest girl in the world, and he's just. And so I'm gonna have him coming out of the water over here, and then Hulk sharks and the Hulk fighting the Hulk sharks on that side.
Are you gonna get homie Caleb, right? The guy that did that?
I'm not 100% sure who I'm gonna do this one. And it'll probably eventually, like whenever I have money, so like 10 years. Well, because sleeves,
leg sleeve, and you got a fucking big leg, so I'm gonna guesstimate that to be $4,000 job.
Well, let's just give you an idea. My arm and to hand, like from up here, which goes onto my shoulder blade, was just over 100 hours.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's because of how big I am. Like the laid out fucking the parchment paper with the tracing and shit on it.
Is it just multiple sheets?
Yeah, he cut up into multiple things, but at first it was all one big drawing, right?
Yeah.
Was like about that wide by about
that must have been hard
this long
to lay that down, right? Because when they make the stencil, he had to do it in pieces, right? Like piece them together and then line them up.
It was
wraps
like
around in different parts.
Yeah, it was more or less kind of like draw the whole fucking thing and then like cut it up
stencil,
into scenes.
Yeah.
And then cut the stencil. So, like he'd had multiple photocopies of the stencil, and then he'd cut them up into scenes, then kind of replace bits, and then like lay it on my arm.
And he would know and then fill in the gaps.
Yeah. Like lay it out on my arm and then see where that would need to be the next one, and then like kind of like. Yeah, it was a process, man. But then we did bottom half first, and then top half lining, and then shading, and then shading, and then color, and then color, and then ditch was we went 3 times in my ditch to make sure the color stuck, because it was it fell out a couple times, and you can because like the ditch is a hard place for color to stay. you can start to see where like there's those crease lines, like where ink's just not gonna stay.
I have some of that like on my elbow.
Yeah.
I have a tattoo that comes over my elbow, and it has that a little bit where you see it.
Elbow's not fun either. Ditch was the worst thing ever though. Like, and there's one day
I don't have the top. I have like, how much? Well, a little bit. It kind of dips in, but not fully over. It gets really sensitive. Like I have one in here that's really sensitive, but
that fleshy area.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Dude, chest? Do you have stuff in your chest?
Yeah, I
right?
got my chest.
Yeah.
Like it's down to like here, and then the whole fucking thing.
Oh, yo, chest though. Yo, sternum.
Ditch was worse.
It was like, that's what I felt when he was doing it.
Yeah. It felt fucked up.
Yeah, because it hurt. I remember feeling it go up like almost like your esophagus, right? Yeah. And you feel it resonating in your throat.
Well,
like, whoa.
The crazy thing was, like, I was planning a throat piece for a long time, and then fucking
throat pieces are fucking gnarly. They're dude. So gnarly. Oh my god, I don't know if I couldn't.
I couldn't settle on what I wanted, and then on top of it, just like the money thing. Like I still don't even have my chest colored. I got it shaded, and then I was like, well,
it's the groundwork's done, right?
Yeah, it looks good. So
you're like, it's there when I fucking
yeah. So I don't know. One day if I ever get to
same guy to them.
Yeah. Caleb's done all my work.
Okay.
I have one piece when I was 18. That I got done at a different place, and then now it got covered up and incorporated. So. Like the skull became like the skull on the moon kind of thing.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. So, fucking.
That's dope.
Yeah, fucking. So that would be super sick to do that one day, like straight comic book fucking covered, fucking like dual comic book cover sleeve kind of thing. Because the other one is dope. A comic book cover as well.
Yeah. You need to get those both those framed then.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing is my Batman is a Sam Keith Batman comic book cover.
Oh, it's a cover too. Okay.
Yeah, with the one with the Joker on it. So I bought that comic and I have it. Yeah.
Oh, so you bought it after?
Oh, and I bought the Ninja Turtles because these Ninja Turtles, a couple of them are taken from a comic book cover and then like rearranged in like different ways. So I bought that comic book as well. So,
but after the fact.
Yeah. Because I was like, yo, I gotta get this shit. Went on eBay. It was just like. But fucking man, like it makes me want to buy more Sam Keith comic books because like his art is so good. Like fucking just blows my mind.
Once you find out who did the art, and then you see their kind of resume with like what brands they've worked with, what characters they've done, and then you're like, yo, you totally can pick up on their style.
Exactly.
And you're like, yo, I can totally see how that is. That
you can start to almost see where they like either like what characters maybe they were thrown into and then developed a style, or characters that they were like, I want to do that character.
Yeah. Where where you see their style reflected within that character. Where Todd McFarlane for Spider-Man is perfect example. There's so many different artists that have done Spider-Man, but when you see him, when you see it, if you know Todd McFarlane's style from Spawn, if you know his style and you see Spider-Man and you didn't know it was Todd McFarlane, you would be like, is that Todd McFarlane? Like you would 100%, you fucking are like, that's what Spider-Man would look like. You know, like if you drew him.
I have the classic Spider-Man imagery
just
pop up in my head right now.
Crazy poses. And
the crazy poses.
Eight knuckles and fingers and
coming
shit.
towards the camera where like they would always be like, you know, like it just
shit was just like over exaggerated. The webbing,
the spaghetti webbing. I've watched, dude. I'll send you some fucking links. I found this one recently where it was who did it? I don't remember who it was, but somebody did this documentary just recently on Todd McFarlane.
On him. Oh, the Complex Blueprint.
Okay, that was exactly what it was. You watched that then?
I watched it, and I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? They did one Todd McFarlane." I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, but
he's so good. And he's Canadian.
Yeah,
boy.
Yeah. We got one.
yeah. We got a couple. Jim Carrey was talking about earlier. We got him too.
Yeah.
But crazy Canadians.
I was gonna say, I was so stoked on that interview. God. Holy fuck, dude! It was so
good too because they really kind of stood back with it and like
out of like they've done quite a few of those interviews. Mm-hmm. Some of them are flops.
Oh, for
honestly, like they just
yeah. They
doesn't connect well with that person, or that person's not even that interesting. I watched Dude, I watched the one with Chance the Rapper's manager.
Right.
Did you watch that one?
No.
I didn't watch the whole thing. I was like, this is not interesting. Like, the guy is just like, I don't know, he's just not engaging. He's not that interesting. And he's like, he kind of just, he started off as a fan and was like, yo, I want to work with you. Let me do some shit. Like,
yeah.
He literally was like, I'll do anything you need to do. Like, I'll run around and get you food. Like, whatever you need. Like, I got you. He was like,
gopher.
He was like just such a fan of Chance. Like, when he was a nobody. No offense. Like, when he's just not as where he is now. You know what I mean? You know? I didn't mean that negatively, but yeah. So he just kind of became that role, but he just wasn't that engaging, and I don't know. I guess I just can't relate to being a manager, so it wasn't that interesting to me. Yeah, but the Todd McFarlane one, I was like nerded out, dude. I was like, this is so fucking cool. I've already
watched it twice.
Like, I watched it twice.
Yeah, I want to watch it again because it's just so. Like, were you inspired as fuck after watching it too?
Yes, because I literally, dude, like,
go do shit.
Because comic art got me into drawing characters. I would duplicate the cover because cover art to me was the best piece of the comic.
And then second best, they usually have a double page in it somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or that you'd have some on the back, right? Yeah. But anyways, Todd McFarlane was the one that stood out to me the most.
Yeah, me too.
That's when I discovered style. When I was like, oh, like different people can draw the same thing.
Right.
But like now that's how I understood what style was.
But
when I was like,
but each portrayal,
you could see
will
like
have a different connection with you.
I could see that's his style, right?
When all of a sudden you'd be like, why is there this certain Spider-Man I don't like?
Yeah.
I don't.
There's so many, with like different shaped eyes and shit, or like shaped heads. But
there's always the thick boy Spider-Mans that I was always like, "What's this shit?" He used to be like fucking.
He used to be lanky and
you know,
but he was like my favorite, like illustrator.
Well, and then you start finding about his other stuff, and then you're like, man, this Spawn character, the Spawn
like,
universe.
Whoa. So dark and so cool.
I have so many Spawn figures and fucking like sculptures I need to set up still. Like, I have all my shit. Like,
and then him starting McFarlane Toys and stuff, but
and doing all the stuff that people said that he couldn't do, where he was just like, we'll just spend $3 more in the molding process.
Yeah, he's like, I'll just do it myself.
And they're like, well, no, you can't sell. Like, figures cost $10.
They can't be fucking $18.99 at Toys R Us. Like, mom and dad's not gonna buy that. And he's like,
at first, I remember it was hard to get some Spawn figures because they were $18.99. But when you got them,
your Christmas wish list.
Oh my god, the depth and detail on those things, man.
Dude.
To the day, to the new stepped up ones, and like the fucking like
amazing.
My favorite ones that I collect right now. I don't like keep collecting them, but I have a bunch of. Is the
do you do sports ones?
No, the comic book cover art series. So there's a series of them where they'll take a comic book cover, like a Spawn comic cover, and then replicate it into a fucking entire sculpture that's usually on a stand. And so I'll have ones where it's
backdrop.
like,
those
dude, where it's
sick.
like Spawn like doing like this shit, and like his like, or not this shit, but like fucking like going like this, and then his cape is like swirling.
His cape.
But they do that with the figure.
It's amazing.
So it's sitting there, and his like cape is like 3 times the size of the figure, and it's amazing. The capes come in 4 pieces because it's so big. It won't fit in the package.
Totally.
Like you have to click it all together and shit. And like, but that same shit where he just had his vision, and he's like, well, no, this is how we should make some figures because nobody else is doing it.
Yeah, dude, and it, like you said, it was so inspiring. Like, I was like, you literally were the reason why I started drawing comic book characters and got into drawing people.
For real.
Like
I can pinpoint it to 2 people.
I can say that.
Yeah, dude.
Like I can say that. That's,
I remember even coming over when and like when you were just starting to heavy get into drawing. You had your sketchbooks and shit ever. It was Spider-Man.
Always,
you know what I mean? And like on a good note too, because like I remember even like as a kid, that was one of my favorite things. And it was like, and I can pinpoint for myself was Todd McFarlane, Sam Keith, the over-exaggerated shit of both, and the crazy knowledge of shading. Because they use so much black.
Yeah. And
so much.
Within that, you have to have such an understanding of anatomy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Like even
Absolutely.
more so than if you were doing everything colors and whatnot. If you're just inking,
Yeah.
because it's, you're only using black, you have to really have an amazing understanding of anatomy and muscle and structure for it to be pronounced.
But then mix that in with like your knowledge of lighting. You have to have a good knowledge of lighting.
Yeah.
So then you now have to understand the musculature and of like the arm and stuff. So if a light's going to hit this and there's this grouping of muscles, where's the shadows going to fall within that? And how am I going to need to cross hatch this part to make it feel more rounded?
Yes.
And it's like, oh man, you just like, as a kid, you start breaking down all of a sudden, you're like, I'm going to work on biceps today. And you're like, fucking 6 hours of biceps.
Yeah.
Like, oh man.
Dude, yeah, like thigh muscles
yeah
being like super defined, and like
the first time you find out about like the riblets
hands
and shit, and you're like, oh, how many does
like
he use?
the abs,
and each guys would draw their abs differently and
pecs
shit and like
tries.
So bizarre, man, that like just your first introduction into a stylistic or artistic style, like
where like if you gave me an anatomy book as a kid, I would be like, I've been thinking about getting one.
Right.
Like a super like well done illustrated like book on anatomy to really study, and to I want to get one and like put up photos around me, so when I'm working on stuff I can use them as reference points.
Right, for sure.
As like my double check for like how things contour around bone and muscles, that it will help you with your shading to accentuate and really define. Dude, that's
a great idea, man. Just even for like any kind of shit, like just have your basic books for like,
because you're basically like animals. It helps you sculpt out.
Yeah.
Like when I do these big charcoal drawings, it's like you do them shading in shapes, right? And it brings me back to learning how to draw characters.
Right.
When you break it down,
those are the best how-to books.
Everything is broken down in shapes.
How to draw fucking
and you're like, oh, this shape on the ear. How to draw
your morning cartoon characters. Exactly, I love all of those books, man.
You all start with shapes. That's it, and then they just get a bit more sculpted out, and it's shaded in, and it literally is. It's sculpting in a 2D format.
Right.
That's like really how it feels, and it's a lot of fun. Like I have a lot of fun.
It's fucking.
I really enjoy
awesome,
most doing those big charcoal sketches.
Yeah.
Like I just started one yesterday. I was doing this one of Eminem.
Yeah, that shit's looking sick, by the way.
Doing it, thanks. Doing it. Yeah, just like I'm reminded of how much fun it is, and I'm like, it really feels like you're sculpting it out. And then I just have so much fun with it along the way. We're doing different mediums. Some they're not fun, and they feel like work. And I kind of struggle with it along the way, but at the end, when I fucking stick it out, it looks good when it's done. But this is the one I have the most fun with from start to finish.
Right.
Is doing charcoal, because it's so free, and it really feels like sculpting. It's like a new way to kind of approach a 2D format.
And then, but the other thing too is like those times when it's not as fun, it's usually part of the learning process too, because you're getting over some of those new uncomfortable bits, and then when you get to the end, like you say, it's so satisfying because it's like you overcome these new boundaries.
I scrap a lot of shit too.
Like, for sure, dude. That was in writing music. You know how many fucking shit. I could pull up my music folder on there, and I like have just riffs upon riffs, where you start something, you're like, this is gonna be a great song, and then you're like, yeah.
But what's funny about that is sometimes, it's always a learning process, but sometimes it's fun to scrap stuff.
Right.
Where you're like, you know what, that didn't work out. I can see why it didn't work out. I need to approach this differently, and I'm gonna redo it, and I'm gonna make it better. I'll be stoked and satisfied. But there are ones with me at least where I have that, and then ones where I'm like, yo, this is gonna be sick. I work out it's coming along, then I'll step back from it a couple days ago, back to it, and I'll be like, have fresh eyes, fresh perspective, and I'm like, fuck, that looks like shit, dude. Like, I'll just tear it up, or I'll just leave it all buried, I'll throw it away. Sometimes I just want to fucking just light the corner and just burn it. You know what I mean? Just like, fuck that.
But that's just important though, because it's like you took a path.
But there's sometimes I'm saying where it's like it's fun when it's the learning curve, and there's
Right.
other times when you're just like you're so over it and you're like fuck.
Yeah.
You're just like I'm not gonna fucking do that anymore.
Yeah,
Like-
yeah. Dude, I've
Yeah.
had that. I get that all the time because like I'm always a hop head first kind of guy. Like I'm just like, especially
to like
nowadays.
hop in.
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Oh yeah. Like most people are like, let me test the water. Let me try this out and see if it works, or
Yeah.
let me see if I like this. And I'm like, well, like no handed dive head
Just-
first. Fucking just like, well, you know, and like, and, you know, it's the same shit even with this. Like we when we finally like had the conversation where we were just like brought up podcasting again now that I was finally in this place, and we had a place that was viable to do it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, all right, let's fucking go. Like,
Yeah,
it's podcast
'cause,
time.
I mean, the amount of conversations we've had about this,
right.
stupid.
Yeah, so then it was
Stupid
just
amount.
like, okay, should we try to do these? Nope. Fucking,
Yeah,
like,
totally.
just like
Literally,
fucking,
yeah,
we're on
yeah.
this, we're on Stitcher, we're on SoundCloud, we're on iTunes, we're on fucking YouTube, we're fucking live streaming on Twitch. We've got our pages. Hit us up on Twitter. Fucking, I got an email action for us.
boom.
We got it all. Let's get this shit going. Stoked on
Hopping
anybody
in.
that's
'Cause,
listening or watching.
Yeah, because we just hop in. Like you said, we just hop in.
Yeah,
Because we were already doing this just without cameras.
Oh, for sure.
Every time we hang out, it's just this.
absolutely.
We would just be like playing skate or gaming or
Yeah,
just
yeah.
watching. We're like, yo, did you see this? We're showing each other crazy shit on the internet.
And it's just like, wait a minute, this
Like,
is literally like
This is
a
just
podcast that I would watch.
100%.
You know?
We're
So
like, this is fucking the content.
it's like almost doesn't make sense.
Why
for us
haven't we been
not to be
filming it?
doing
Yeah,
this,
yeah,
You know what I
totally.
mean? And that's kind of the way that I feel nowadays with like with content and like with my vlog and like with the clothing company and all the other stuff, is that like I'm on such a creative train that I want to be able to share this with people. And like if I could, I would have it be like the Truman Show. You know what I mean? Like where straight up like I'm living
Wait.
in a movie.
okay,
You know what I mean? Where like,
but you know,
but in like weird shit, like,
Yeah.
but where it's like Joe Rogan just said this the other day, like, and it kind of goes with like his old one that he used to say is like, try to be the guy that you are when you're trying to impress a girl, like be that guy all the time. You know what I mean? Like,
so try to impress yourself.
yeah. So he,
Or-
but he used it in a new way when I was listening to him yesterday, where he just basically said like, think that you have a documentary crew
Oh yeah.
following you around.
Was this the Dan Carlin?
Yeah, that was
one?
the Dan Carlin one,
Okay.
which was so fucking good. I need to start listening to Dan Carlin's Hardcore
That
History.
one, like I said, how sometimes I put stuff on when I go to bed. That one, because it's been a minute since he's had like one that it was just over 3 hours, I think that one.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I threw it on. I ended up just like, boom, just listening to it.
Yeah,
and
that's what happens to me.
dude, I was up till 4 a.m.
Yeah,
I listened to the whole thing and I was like, holy fuck. That
Yeah.
one was like really resonated with me.
Oh, so good.
'Cause
There's so
they-
much
they,
within
like,
that.
Rather than just kind of the average talk where they talk about random shit. Oh, did you fucking see this on what Trump's doing?
Yeah,
Or,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
just whatever.
No, they
You got into like
Hopped
real
in.
shit and like
real shit. Yeah.
like, yo, this is how I started. Like
Mhm.
talking about pursuing dreams and struggles and stuff. And I was like, yo,
back to
this.
that clip
I was
that
like,
I sent
fuck, this
you.
one's so good.
I sent you that little clip on Instagram
Yeah,
where
yeah.
they were talking about when Joe just started his podcast, when fucking when
yeah.
Dan started his podcast years ago. He was like, we'd be lucky if we had 100 viewers or something like that. And that's somebody that's already famous in the ethos. You know what I mean?
After Fear Factor.
After Fear Factor and all that
Yeah.
shit, right? So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he's had like a hit sitcom. He had been on Fear Factor. He had been on all this other shit. He'd been in UFC, you know, like or already been part of UFC.
Yeah.
So it's like he's like literally just like, yo, we all start somewhere, like with everything. So,
yeah, and it's like we're just doing this for fun.
yeah, man,
We're
and
doing it
that's all
'cause
they
we
were
like
doing.
we like them, so we
And I'm not saying that in the sense that I'm doing it at any I want to be at,
No, 100%,
at this
yeah.
sense, but it's showing you the possibility of when you hop into something that you really love and give it the respect
and-
that it deserves, you almost get that back tenfold.
Yeah, and where you never know where it will go, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
but you never know what will come out of it. Maybe we'll reach 1,000 eventually, or maybe we'll get to 100 and we'll be like, we don't really fucking like this anymore.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it puts us onto something else.
For sure. It's
Maybe
all
when we have
part of
someone
the
on
process.
that we meet, they're like, oh fuck, like they do something cool, then we
Yup.
get interested, maybe get into doing something like that. Like you never know, like
yeah. You Dan Carlin
right? Just
put
for
it
right now,
perfectly.
like this is what Like we're fucking with this right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So,
but Dan Carlin put it perfectly. He
ride the
talked
wave
about
when
that
it's there.
fucking that letter that he wrote to somewhere that he wanted to work. And he was like fucking shitting his pants about sending out the letter, blah blah blah. I didn't. Yeah, I shouldn't send this guy the letter. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh, okay, fine, I'll mail out the letter. Next day, guy calls him back. You want a job? He was like, I almost didn't send out that letter.
I didn't know he was like a news reporter either.
Right, I didn't either.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Which makes sense about how he would have that like journalistic integrity of like going deep on shit.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
having his facts.
Exactly. And the way how he's engaging, and he's like
his cadence,
articulate, and yeah.
Because he definitely has a way of talking where he gets you very engaged in a situation. And
there's certain people,
like, oh,
right?
What's next?
But you don't even have to watch them. Like you just hear it in their voice. It's like man, like those are the people that are good at reading shit when you're a kid. You're like, someone reads you a story or like in class or something. You're like, certain people just have a way of like reading shit where they bring like those words to life. He has a very engaging voice.
My brain's searching for fucking Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Oh yeah.
His voice.
Morgan Freeman.
I could tell you anything, and I will get you excited. About this piece of broccoli.
You're like, dude, can I just pay you to just hang around and just narrate what I'm doing? Like
so, and then it like I don't know how we tangented from this whole thing from that, but it was essentially like just the whole thing of the Joe Rogan's quote of just be the person that you think you would be. Like imagine you're getting followed by a documentary crew all day long. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then he was like, "What would you want to see? Like, what kind of shit could you provide?
Well, what can you? Yeah, exactly. What can you? What could you provide? What would you like? How would you like just to be able to take a step out and look at yourself from the outside
to show where you're at that point? Right? Are you doing enough shit?
Exactly. Like because you can think all you want up here, and then like I say, as somebody with like anxiety and depression issues, like I can go in my head, and if I don't fucking like find a way out of it, I can get into these weird loops and go to these things and start having crazy conversations. If this person's gonna say this, I'm gonna say that, and you have all these weird.
You build up scenarios.
Yeah, you build scenarios that aren't even there.
That are roadblocks. That are roadblocks,
right? As opposed to being able to step back and being like on the outside. Okay, what am I doing to fix these situations? You know what I mean? Because it's not gonna.
Or just accepting that everything is a learning curve, and rather than having things like be roadblocks for something is stopping you, use that. Right. Use that like fear, for lack of a better word, to rather than stop you, to be behind you, to push
and that
you,
shit, like
have that fear.
If you tie it back into like the movie stuff, like that is literally like that's plot driving elements.
Yes, yeah.
It's the conflict, it's the shit that it's the guy that feels down on himself who rises up above it, who pushes through all that shit. So
the
I'm like,
highs and lows, man.
Yeah,
like,
exactly, man.
The highs don't feel as good without those lows, man.
Exactly. There's the conflict and resolution. You know what I mean? So it's just fucking the rise and the fall, man.
Yeah, you just have to accept it, man. You grow through what you go through.
Yeah, for reals, dude.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm at that point right now where like I've over the last half a dozen years, like I've had like many climbs and rises and falls, and like I've hit like peaks and valleys, and then like all of a sudden like now I'm at a point where like I talked to you before, like I had my Etsy shop fall through and for some bullshit reasons, but that's his own fucking story. That shit has took a hefty cut on myself financially for the last couple months, where like I'm in like struggle territory again. But that struggle territory has been now pushing me harder to be like, okay, what do I want to do?
Mm-hmm.
Like who am I really, and like what do I want to be able to put out there? What do I want to be like what satisfies me?
Totally.
You know what I mean? So
it helps you prioritize.
Yeah, dude. So fucking now I've just been like,
makes you prioritize.
Yeah, it makes me prioritize. That's exactly it. So fucking now I've just been like on like this crazy battle path where I'm just like, that's just my fucking, that's the coal in the fire, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, it's your fuel, man.
Yep. So it's and even in knowing that it's just like,
and whether it's internal hate that is the fuel, or it's external.
Yeah. 100%.
Fuels the fire, man.
It's that fucking that is a straight up, even that Jim Carrey, like you can fail at doing something you don't want, so why not fail at something you love? And I've failed at a million things I love, but I've never felt better because of that, because I'm pursuing all these things. Like I embrace my failures nowadays. Like, and it's so funny too, because even on like the outside, like my parents will sometimes even see it, like they'll still feel like it's like, because when a failure happens to that older generation, it's like, it's a big blow. They're like, well, I might as well find a safe route now. It's time to go back to plan B. And it's just like, no, that's no, like another little, that you can fill cracks with that and fucking use that as a lever to get you up to the next step.
True.
And it's that fuel, man. You know, make that fucking shit happen.
It's that fuel, man.
It's that fuel, man. You know, so.
One thing I wanted to touch on, when you were like really into making music and stuff, like what were your main influences? Like, did you have like certain people, or was like certain things that like really were like,
it was always,
kept you?
It depends on what era, because it was always just creative people was what really inspired me. It wasn't like necessarily like the grand, this is always the thing, it wasn't the grand picture, it was usually the people behind it.
Yes
You know what I mean? Because it was always like seeing their creative like nature, like seeing them as a person, where it was just like, okay, that person's clearly not like anybody else in society. They needed to find an outlet for themselves, and they found it, and they could put it out through the music. Like the classic one, like obviously the biggest inspiration for myself was Pantera. Dimebag Darrell, fucking the epitome of just like amazing creative person. Like he was just like, he could like, I mean, I was blessed enough to end up meeting him with your brother, and fucking like he was the nicest fucking, like he lit up the conversation no matter how fucking tired he was or whatever. Right. Or that the fact that
he was the dude, man.
Yeah. Like there was interviews with like Moby, like fucking being like, yeah, I met this guy, and then like at first I was like kind of taken back, covered it, like looks like a biker almost with a pink beard.
Fuck you up.
And then all of a sudden I talked to him, and I've never met a more genuine person in my life, and we just talked about life, and like we didn't even talk about music. Like he was touched by meeting such a genuine person. And it's just because that dude found his outlet to be himself and to be a creative person. And so that I don't think that was always the more inspiring thing. And then
the people behind it.
And then the biggest thing really was when I found out that you could, like, I use this term, which is kind of like how the name for this. All right, well, I'm gonna drop the little kernel and nugget of knowledge on these people here about how this ties into how the Deep Seated podcast name came to be. Is that when I tapped into my subconscious, which I had ended up learning, or not learning, I ended up calling it my subconscious landscape, which was just this place in my brain that I could just, the flow state essentially. When I could get to a comfortable enough point, music would just actually come out. Like I could literally just, like, songs would just be there. And then I figured out a way to start recording them. And it was like,
you would just get the tunnel vision.
Where all of a sudden I'd go in.
It just comes
at 3 a.m, right? Like when my parents were all asleep, and I was like in the room right beside them, so I'd have my headphones on. Like this is the shit that blows my mind. How this creativity came out when it's 2-3 in the morning and my parents are sleeping right there, and I have to be quiet, and I'm putting headphones on and this whole shit. But it somehow did, because that was where I was. There was this struggle, but I needed something to push through it. So all of a sudden, when I found a way to tap into that, that was the inspiration. It was just like, yo, you can fucking, this is a place. And it was that same place.
This is a place.
Well, I knew it was a place, but it was this like, oh, this fucking place, like this is that same place I used to go when I was a kid drawing. Like that was my main tie, because when I was a kid drawing, I would just fucking start drawing, and 3 hours would be gone, and I'd have pages filled. You know, like,
for sure.
And so it was that same kind of thing where I was like, oh, that place, like there's some amazing shit up there. And like if everybody can find a way to, like, you know, put their body at ease or whatever else it is, take care of all your other stresses and stuff that lets you get to there, whether it be self-confidence, whether it just be like you need to be a little bit creative. I think you definitely have to get the creative waters flowing to be able to finally like get the path there. But that was A1 inspiration, man, was that fucking subconscious place.
So when it was, how you're saying, the people behind it, was it always people doing music that inspired you to do music? Was it ever like people doing different stuff that would inspire you to do it?
No, I started playing guitar just because, like, I loved the idea of playing guitar. Like my grandpa played guitar. So it was like my first introduction to it. Like he hooked me up with a guitar when I was a kid, and then like we were dumb fucking kids, and like the guitar got broken, and it was like his like I'm pretty sure that was the guitar that he like fucking built. But he was crazy, man. My grandpa, that like both my grandparents were nuts, but in like good way. But this like this goes to show you the difference between now and back then.
Okay.
So he got this guitar, one of his first guitars, and it was like not the greatest sounding guitar at all. So him and his dad were like, all right, well,
Fixed it. Fixed the sound.
So what did they do? They went out and got this nice solid piece of wood. They removed the top off the guitar, replaced it, and built a whole solid wood top for the guitar, glued the fucking thing on, routed all the edges, finished it back up, sanded it down, put a crazy finish on it. Took this like what was once a $50 guitar, put crazy amounts of work into it. And like the main resonator for an acoustic guitar is the solid top. Mm-hmm. And so that was like a thing that like the guitars would be marketed as. Oh, it's a solid top guitar. It's a solid top guitar. So him and
hold those notes as you stroke.
Yeah, that's exactly it, right? The fucking resonate, the resonator of the fucking machine itself. So him and his dad, when he was like 10 or some shit.
Fuck, that's so sick.
Fucking are tearing this top off.
And they did it themselves.
They did it themselves.
So like somehow they just had that knowledge.
Yeah, they just figured it out. They're like, well, it's just wood glued on a thing. So we heat it up and then we peel out the glue and then do that. And so it led into a point where he eventually built his own guitar and was just like fucking would just figure shit out. Like that was the grandpa that when I'm a kid, I'd be like, Grandpa, like I'd be like 8 years old. And I'd be like, Grandpa, I want to, like, it was like right after watching, not Little Rascals. Fuck, what was the football movie with the fucking Little Giants?
Yeah, Little Giants. Yeah.
With fucking Rick, what was the girl's name in the movie? Fucking Ice House or well, anyways, she had the go-kart. Mm-hmm. You remember? And so that like,
and it had like the raccoon tail on
it. Fucking, and then like, so anyways, that got like sparked this whole like craze of go-karts when I was a kid, right? So like asking Grandpa, like, Grandpa, how would I go about building a go-kart? So my grandpa was the guy that would be like,
well, we go get wood. Let's go get wood.
No, no. Like he didn't care that you were 8. Like he would be like, oh, so you're thinking about building a go-kart, eh? Well, so when you go on building a go-kart, there's going to be a bunch of different problems that you're going to want to start thinking about. And so the main thing that you're going to want to start thinking about is the steering linkage. The steering linkage is going to be a couple different ways that you can do that. I've got a couple different ideas off the top of my head about how we go into making the steering linkage. There's one basic way we could take a rod and we could do this. And like he just fully blown, and like I still remember the explanation to the day.
That's fucked, man.
Like how to build the steering linkage easily.
He just has that knowledge.
Well, because he just figured it out. Yeah, he was just always a figure it out person. And so like, but that was the thing. Like I remember those conversations more than anything else when I was younger, because it was like he just talked to me like a person and gave me information, you know. And
look at like, you know, the impact it's left.
Yeah, it's right? True, right? I take a lot. I don't take that for granted at all. The ingenuity that I have from that side of the family, for fucking sure, dude. Like, so fucking yeah. Like that was one of my big fucking instigators for getting into guitar was him. And then I didn't touch it again until after that. And then when we moved to Australia, I told you I was gonna bring that up a lot, I got my first fucking
everyone's like, not again.
Yeah. They had a guitar there and I started taking guitar lessons. And I had tried taking guitar lessons once before, didn't like it because of the teacher. Teaching is the huge thing. This is where it gets really interesting, is that
someone you don't like.
I took guitar lessons many a times over various years and hated it because the teachers were shit. And then when I took some lessons in Australia, loved the teacher, got pretty good, started learning like some like, you know, Metallica songs and Blink 182 and shit. Like, dude, fucking learning Blink 182 and Green Day were some of my first shit.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And then when we came home from Australia that next Christmas, I got my Squier Strat Pack as my, like, it was like the guitar, gig bag, and little practice amplifier. So I got that for Christmas, and that was what kind of started off. And then found a local, I think I actually started taking lessons before I got that to make sure that I liked it. But this lessons from this teacher, Derek Jensen, guy was just fucking,
I still remember his name.
Oh dude, the guy's a badass, such a sick guitarist, and just like this, like nerdy but like super entertaining guy. Like, so that was what kickstarted it, was like finding
You're like, this
a proper
guy's
teacher.
cool,
Yeah,
and he's teaching me shit that I like.
Exactly.
So I really like this now.
exactly.
Yeah.
So because he would help me find avenues of what I like,
Mm.
and then want to teach me around that. So he'd be like, oh, you like this song? Okay,
So
well, I'm going to
he'd
teach you why you like
yeah.
that song. And then like he'd be like, oh, these little techniques within that song are what make this stand out. And then I'd learn all these techniques. I would never go through and learn full songs. I would always it would kind of be the same
Just
thing
parts
with
you like.
yeah. It would be the same thing with art. When I would never like fucking like, I mean, I would always like copy pieces and shit like that, but that was to learn a technique from that piece. Like, you know what I mean? Like, whether it be the fucking spaghetti webbing or the way that these over exaggerated things, so that when I could eventually draw off my brain, I could like mix in a bunch of those styles.
You could pick and choose.
Yeah. So it was literally the exact
techniques.
same thing with fucking music.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, I like these old fucking Van Halen techniques mixed with some fucking like Black Label Society squeals, mixed with some little fucking shreddy chunks and some old school
whammy
thrash
bar
from
action.
So it would just be like, that was what then and now still makes the best music to the day, is people who combine all these crazy amounts of fucking influence.
Exactly. And you see the influences in the final product.
I forget who said it, but he's just like, if you try to copy another band, you'll be the worst band in the world. But if you try to copy 10 different bands at once, you'll be the best band in the world. Because it's
interesting.
Because it's literally just like, if you're just trying to be one band, like you're just trying to be that band.
Yeah.
But if
totally.
you're now taking all your favorite
cover
bits,
band.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're taking all your favorite bits from 10 different bands and putting it all in one song. That's gonna be amazing. You know, ideally,
for sure.
Maybe, but
allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
That's such a good word.
Oh, I fucking love it, man.
Allegedly.
So yeah, it's that's the rough outline on my guitar shiz.
That's dope.
Pretty much. But yeah, I think the big one was just definitely finding that inspiration zone again, that subconscious landscape, you know, which was what we really liked the term subconscious for the name of this podcast. We were thinking about like, okay, maybe if we can find like the name of the subconscious landscape, the subconscious place, subconscious. So then as I'm saying this, we're like spitballing subconscious
like texting
names
back and forth for days about shit.
And then I'm like having to spell check the thing almost every time I send it. Wait a minute. Like, I mean, I'm not a smart person by any means, but I've got somewhat okay spelling. But I'm spell checking this every single time, and we're asking people to search for this shit.
Yeah.
So then I was just like, oh, I fucking threw subconscious and a thesaurus, and deep seated was one of the top ones. And I was like, And then when you looked up the meaning of it, I was like,
Yeah, it's like it totally ties right in, and it's easier to say. It's easier to remember.
Which is the funny thing too. when I told it to a bunch of people, I've already had a handful of people be like, oh, it's because that couch you guys sit on, right? I'm like, yeah. It's that deep-seated couch. That's exactly what it is.
No, it's the deep conversation,
bro,
that we're seated.
We're so deep-seated in our fucking thought process. Come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a little random insight for you if anybody was wondering where that name came from.
Otherwise, it seems a little random, but yeah.
Yeah, but like I said to you, with anything, man, it's like you don't actually think about it once it's a thing. Like with band names, you know, Fish.
We were like,
Nickelback.
we were totally like hung up on it. We're like, fuck, what could it be like? And then it was one of those things when went from this to this to this to this, and then it's the subconscious thing, and then boom, you were like deep seated, and I was like, that's it. Like, winner right there. It sounds.
It's well, and from coming from the music back end of stuff, I've had to name my own bands. Like I've been in, how many band names have I had to come up with my own? Of like half a dozen solid band names on my own, and then I've helped other bands name their bands, and then it's the same thing with naming songs, naming EPs, where it's like this weird thing where you just have to like keep running through ideas, but then the ideas that you have to just keep saying them aloud, and like typing them and writing them.
Does it sound,
putting them as acronyms, you know? And that's why we get to DSP, right? It's just like, but yeah, you just get to all those things till something just all of a sudden you're like, yeah, Yeah, like I fucking like that.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I like saying that.
The more, and like the more we do this too, the more I'm like, it was a good choice.
Yeah, for sure. I know exactly what you mean too, because that's literally that same feeling within band stuff. You're like, okay, we're gonna say that this is our band name, or this is the name of this song.
Yeah.
And then the longer it goes along, sometimes you're like, we should have named that. Actually, I don't think I've ever had like I should have named a song that, because we would name, dude. I had songs called Flang Pang Wallace, like fucking.
What the fuck is that?
Yeah, we don't know.
It's a sound.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a fucking Batman like acronym.
Yeah, Flang Pang, and then Wallace is in the back. Oh, you know, dude. Side note. We need some like comic book inspired merch for the fucking Deep Seated podcast.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty sick. Like some frames on it or some shit with like,
or just in like the weird bubble shit. The
yeah,
DSP, like as if it's one of them, you know?
That'd be dope. I'm down. Fucking comic book inspired shit on all fronts for sure.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, fucking it's always interesting. Like even just like you asking me that, like thinking back through the process.
Yeah.
You know.
I was just thinking about it myself, like especially last night even. So, I don't think I have asked you that, so I was just a little curious because it's interesting to see where people pull inspiration from.
Right.
Like for me, I don't know, like what someone might think mine might be, right. Like if you were to guess like influencers for me, like I don't know what you would say.
See, this is where it gets different, where it's like it's hard. I don't look too much of it as like specific influencers. I would look at it as more like of a whole. Like I would be like, I could probably say like certain people that might be within that.
Well, I'm not saying like for you to guess the people's names.
Right.
I'm saying what, like if you were to guess, you know, because I don't.
Or like what
because like asking you're saying people behind it, so like you definitely pulled from people that did music,
right? Okay,
to influence you. But I was just curious about you because, after hearing your explanation, when I was like, oh, okay, confirming. Oh, so you pull from other musicians or people that do music for inspiration, right? Where I don't.
Well, those were my ones for getting into the music portion of it, but there was still, it was basically anybody that was in that creative zone.
Yeah,
I found it to just be so inspiring. Like it could have been like one of those things when you're like at a fair and you see the dude that like everybody gathers around in a circle and dude comes out on one of those like 20-foot tall unicycles and he's juggling shit, but he's so fucking good at what he's doing. And it's so weird and off in his own world. But I'm as a kid going like, whoa, like how did you get to a place where you can just do that? You know what I mean? That was always just the thing of like the inspiration of like people that can just do what they do. Right. You know? So the culture that I found that displayed that the furthest was within music, right? But yeah, I do see what you're saying though, for sure. So, but like, are you trying to say like, what do I think would have inspired you to start drawing in the first place?
Well, not necessarily, but just
because I think that's just
influencers really is just what I was thinking about last night.
Yeah.
Because I watched again this thing, man, like one of my major influencers, and it's gonna sound funny, like to what it is, but it really is true. I discovered this show on Netflix called Abstract.
Oh yeah.
Have you watched them? Yeah.
I fucking love it.
So
it's one of my favorite fucking shows on Netflix, to be honest.
Yeah. So they have like, it's cool. They have these people that are in different lanes. Yeah. But they're all creative. So
the architecture part was like my fucking favorite.
That one was really cool. That's my second favorite.
I think that was my favorite.
They have the Tinker Hatfield one. But so have you watched them all?
Yes.
Okay, sick. So
I'm ready to watch them again. Like that shit was like, why is there only fucking 5 episodes of this?
Yeah.
Like I was, I wanted more.
Okay, that's awesome. You've seen them, so you'll know who I'm going to talk about. But I remember like looking at them, and I was like, okay, so there's one on an architect, there's one on Illustrator, Da 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 da. And then I was like, I'll probably like this one. I'll click on that one, right?
Right.
The one that I least thought would be appealing to me is my favorite.
Which one?
And it's on Ez Devlin, the set designer.
Right.
Holy fuck,
Dude, that one was so good.
I went, like, I've watched that specific one, like, at least 8-10 times maybe. And I watched it again last night. And I went in this huge fucking, like, rabbit hole of watching all, like, her shit I could find. Like, on YouTube and on the internet. She even has, like, a TED Talk.
Fuck.
But okay, so you've seen it, so you know exactly.
Yeah, that shit's so sick,
dude.
That, like, when I watch that, my brain is just like,
yes,
like firing on all cylinders. It's just like, give me more.
Yeah,
like I need to be around you people.
Because what I really got from her being a set designer is I never really thought about set design and utilizing space. Right? She rather than talking about just decorating like a wall. Right? It's like no, she's talking about how to utilize a space no matter what the shape, right? And utilizing the space to maximize what the viewer will get out of it, right?
Yeah,
and so it took me back and I was like, whoa, it made me look at something in a different way.
Right.
And dude, when that happens, that's when you get the fucking You're like, oh my god,
they
all
open
these
a whole
ideas.
New fucking door, and you're like, that's in here.
Yeah, dude.
What? I thought it was just this little room.
After seeing like the stuff she's done and like her resume of shit, you know, like working with fucking doing stuff for operas, doing stuff for Kanye, doing stuff for Jay-Z, doing stuff for Beyonce, Adele, U2, like endless rock shows and concerts.
Shit,
and
that's such an epic thing that's supposed to leave a feeling, a big movement.
But the way she approaches it and how she's looking at it from the viewer's seat. Right? And it really like made me step back and think about what I do, because I do it for myself and I'm done, walk away, and it really made me think about how someone is going to perceive it. Right. And I hadn't really thought about that before, so like it made me think about presentation and things,
those eye-opening moments,
and what you can do with space. Because how my friend and I, we do these art shows and events that really resonated with me when I'm showing art. And when I'm showing other people's art, and when we're designing a space and decorating a space, I was like, holy fuck, this is amazing. And that like, is so fractal. It almost like it made me like nerd out. And I was like, oh my God, like it made me look at everything different from a fresh perspective. And it really helped like with the last event we did and how I displayed stuff and how I was talking to you about how I wanted to do it, where that's where I got the inspiration when I was explaining to you how I don't sculpt, I don't do installation pieces, right? So I don't have stuff on a 3D format for people to walk around,
on a 2D plane and shit.
Walk around and interact with, right? But
as much as even you're doing the tangible thing yourself, it's still getting distributed through a 2D.
Yeah, well, not only that, but what I'm making is 2D. It's a flat piece of paper. It's a flat canvas.
But it's still even that would be a different appreciation if a person was like, could always be like their first introduction to it, seeing it in person.
Yes,
That's way different than Instagram or some shit.
But how you would have something on a wall. Like traditionally, you go to an art show or something, and it's like just something hung on a wall, right? So you're just looking at it on the wall, and you're like, cool. Okay, I look at it from 10 feet away, 5 feet away, 2 feet away. Okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. And then you move on to the next thing, like boom, boom, boom. But that's what got me thinking about things differently and how to present stuff. And then that's when I was talking about you, how I displayed it. And I was like, I wanted to bring what I do as 2D into a 3D format, because that's when I really became aware of, you know, who's going to be seeing it and how they can interact with it. And then that was that whole concept that I kind of bounced ideas off you with about hanging stuff in a middle of a room where you can walk around,
kind of creating almost like a fucking pathway with that shit.
And that's for a future solo show I'm gonna be working on. I don't want to get into it. I have other ideas for it, but that was the my first try
Which
at an idea that I worked towards. So I was like, okay, I have an idea how to do something that's interactive, that brings my 2D format into a 3D world.
Well, that's good though, because you have to be able to think. And that was my first
attempt. And now I know, like, oh, I'm gonna fucking do this next.
Because that whole thing's an event. It's not just you displaying your art is the event. It's the fact that everybody going there, the whole people, the sights, the sounds, the environment, it all becomes such a huge part of it. Where it's like, this is what I was gonna like slightly dabble on with that stuff, is that it's so fractal in nature with everything. You look at the details of that, you zoom out, and it's the exact same thing in music. When we were a band, when all of a sudden I find out, okay, so when I had the breakthrough point in music was when I started thinking like the fans coming to the show.
Right. What do they want to see?
Yeah. Like, well, do they want to see a dude on stage just trying to like play everything the best he can and not moving and no energy in the world or like down? So that was when I finally like would be, okay, well, who were my favorite bands I would go see? And it would always be somebody that.
And then why are they my favorite? To see, not just to
so
hear,
it would
but to
always
see
be the favorite.
Who's the best performer?
Exactly.
Right.
Who throws down on stage, goes crazy, gets like uses their energy to go push outwards to give energy to the other people. And then all of a sudden when I started trying to do that on stage, off of
the energy that they get from it.
Yeah, dude, it was crazy. When all of a sudden we would be the band that would be going craziest on stage, all of a sudden we would have the crazier audience. And it was that same thing where the energy you give out, if you can like find the right way to do it, you're going to be able to just like fucking manifest so much energy popping up in these other people. Now zoom back out, zoom back into the art installation. It's the exact same shit. You find the proper way to display.
And dabbling with that really, like, it's helping me perfect the way that I put together what I do, and then events kind of touching all senses of, and for the audience. Fuck, I forgot what I was gonna say.
Worst.
Fuck, it'll come to me.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say?
Well, we were just going into like fucking. Well, I tangented a bit with it, but it was just like the fact that
it was like energy,
we were talking about the
giving back.
Yeah, from the set designer where she was working on big sets, Kanye and shit, made you think about how you want to display your shit.
And it just got the creative juices flowing.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh shit, I can go this way, I can go that way, and it really helped me open my eyes into doing like a way to let out what I want.
Right.
Like, because it's like not just like trying to articulate it, but I'm trying to like articulate it like visually.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It helped me think of it, and where it's not like I'm seeing something and I'm copying it. It's like it opened my eyes to things where I'm trying to bring something new. Right. And like I'm not seeing something and trying to emulate it, right? So it's I'm not riding the wave.
You're trying to bring your own value.
It's like I'm not riding the wave. I'm trying to provide the water.
Yeah,
I mean? It's like sure. I'm trying to do something different, my own way. That's gonna inspire someone that inspired me.
Oh, dude, that's funny because that's literally, I said this to my buddy last night because somebody called me a hype beast on one of my photos, and then my buddy was like, "Oh man, that's a big old compliment," and I'm like, no, that's
like
not
a friend or a random.
Like a friend on Facebook or whatever. And so then like, but I had to explain. I don't think he like quite knew what hype beast meant. But then like, because he thought that hype beast meant like you're creating hype, like you're a person that creates hype. I'm like, I'm not.
It's more like you're a person that follows.
Yeah, you're the first person that follows. So hype, like, I'm like, no, I'm not the person that follows hype. I'm the person who wants to create hype. It's the same kind of shit. Where it's like you don't want to follow the wave. You want to be the water. And you want to do your own shit that creates the fucking wave.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's a perfect way to sum it up. Is I'm not trying to ride the wave. I'm trying to provide the water.
For reals, man. Like it's just like you got to be those tectonic plates underneath that starts fucking stirring shit up.
Yeah, it's once you get into your creative mindset, it's when you look at things different is when you can fucking really express yourself.
Right.
Like, you can almost do like little tests where you, rather than explaining what you see in something, you know what you see, so you say to someone else, you ask them what they see first before you tell them your point of view, right? So there's like little things, like if you drew like a line and then a line under it, right? So I know what I see right away.
Right.
So if I drew 2 lines, right? So say like the line on the top and the bottom on a piece of paper, and I go, I know what I see, right? So I draw those 2 lines, and I go, how many lines do you see?
Well, being me, I'd be like 3 stripes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I'm almost 100% positive most people would say there's 2 lines.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
But someone who is used to looking at something from a different view is going to see you have the 2 lines, but you created a line in between those 2 lines.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly. Because that you're
so it's like, it's almost,
you're seeing shapes.
So it's like almost when you see stuff and you start to pick out things like that, it teaches you to look at stuff from a different angle.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, you're embracing those creative thoughts rather than like poo-pooing them, like that happens so much in society. Like, you can't think about that shit like that.
Well,
that
it's
doesn't
like,
exist. Like, what do you mean that's how the shit comes to exist?
That movie Wolf of Wall Street, you seen
Love that movie.
Okay, that scene where he has his friend, he's like, try to sell me this pen, right?
Right.
And I'm gonna misquote him. I don't remember exactly what he says, but it's along the lines when he was like, how he's saying, oh, I could tell you, but you should write it down. And he's like, oh, you don't have a pen? Throws in the pen. He's like, that just sold you on, oh, fuck, I need to buy a pen. Right?
Yeah.
And then at the end of the movie, right, his homie got killed, right? Didn't he get shot with like the whole money thing?
I forget.
I feel like, but he's still doing those like seminars, right? When he's like trying to like teach people how to sell.
Yeah.
And then he uses that pen analogy, right? And he goes to all these people, he's like, sell me this pen, right? And you have all these people that are there to learn, and they're like, so they say what you think he wants you to hear is. So you're like, well, it's a really well constructed pen. He's like, no. And he gives it to the next guy, sell me this pen. And everyone can only think like that. Right, his homie at the beginning was like, he thought of it from a totally different way. He's like, he didn't say anything about the pen, right?
Yeah. There is those different ways you can go about it. Exactly that. Oh, right, so nice. It's spring
it's
action.
Like, people would go into construction,
or there'd be like the one where the guy would try to like
feels.
make it seem really appealing, and then like put it in his pocket like the other guy can't have it or some shit. Like that would be an actual like.
But then you'll get that one dude out of 1,000 that is like his friend, or out of 1,000,000, whatever, where he's like, okay, I'll tell you how to sell it. He's like, but you should write it down so you don't forget. Oh, you don't have a pen? Well, there you go. Right? Yeah. And you're like, holy fuck. Like, how'd you like think of that approach? Right? It's like totally different mindset. Like, yeah.
And that's ultimately what it is like realizing that you can embrace different mindsets and that they'll be able to take you some pretty rad places. Like,
for sure, man. Yeah.
That's the one I use all the time nowadays is like, it was like when you're a kid and you'd see the old biker with the leather vest, big beard, covered in tattoos, hanging out with his biker gang friends. And you're like, where do these people come from? Like, you know what I mean? Like when you start seeing like these weird groups of people where you're like, how does that, like they're just like they're born into a family of misfit bikers and like, but no, that was probably just some
like
dude.
The stereotype.
That was some dude that just probably really liked motorcycles and then got into some stuff and then like realized that there was a like a little culture behind it and like, no, he was just interested in some shit, found a mindset, followed it, met some other people with that mindset, and went a little further down.
And all those people started that way, and they've just crossed paths. And
yeah, dude,
just by chance.
It's fucking Dan Carlin touched on it in that podcast when he's like, when I had my punk phase as a kid, and he's saying that like he would, he started wearing his punk clothes for the first time, and everybody started calling him a poser.
Yeah.
Because there was like a hierarchy to how long you have to be an OG wearing this stuff. You can't. What, you're now wearing a punk clothes? You're trying to be a punker all of a sudden? How dare you try to embrace this mind? Yeah, how dare you try to embrace this mindset? Like,
yeah.
And it's that shit where it's just like, no, you should have the freedom to be able to do it. Just like,
yeah, but then you get those people that are like the weird couples, right? So it's like people may like the same shit,
yeah,
but they don't dress the part.
Right.
When you get like that biker dude, but his girlfriend is like a hippie or
for sure.
like a conservative businesswoman or something, just because she fucks with the same shit, but just doesn't like
yeah.
to dress that way, whatever, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's funny,
not
man.
necessarily have to
So
dress
it goes
the
to show
part and
you
rep it.
like the perception point of it, right? Like I started realizing that so much as I have a very eclectic group of like hobbies, like and things I'm into, just all across the map. It's like my taste in music. It's so all across the map.
You shouldn't limit yourself, right?
No, exactly. And so through doing that, I've met all these groups and communities of random ass people, and that's when you start to have this perspective of being like, oh, just because this person may look this way on the outside. Well, I mean, I had that way. I've had this perspective being the way that I have always been, knowing that like you're not what you're usually judged, because most people meet me and they're like, oh, I thought something so different, and I'm like, yeah, okay,
yeah,
you know, I heard that one before, you know, like. Or it's like I think you even had it happen with you the other day when you're like, we were out and you're like, oh, that person was looking at us funny or something.
Oh,
like, no, that person
7-Eleven. Yeah, they're
looking at me.
They're
funny.
like, look at these two fucking dudes.
Yeah, and I have to say to people all the time, I'm like, don't like that's not us together thing or whatever. That's literally the looks I get when I go anywhere.
Yeah, it's gotta be fucking annoying.
So yeah, it's built a fucking. There's been this weird fucking tolerance to that over years, where all of a sudden it's just like you're like, really, you just think I'm fucking like I don't even know what like
you just think I'm a fucking fill in blank.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Or just like the classic one when it's like people somehow think that it's okay for the first word out of their mouth to be like, you're fucking huge, eh?
God,
like my God, you're a giant. Look at the size of you. Oh, how
and you're just like just
how
walk
tall
away.
are you?
Yeah.
And then I mean I'm not ever an asshole about it, but it's just like
it's fucking annoying.
Yeah, like wow, look how big your nose is, eh? Your ears really stick out from your head, don't they? Like if I said that to anybody, I'm a fucking asshole. Yeah. Right? But just the fact that it's like, so it's just like, you know, I've
just
come to
height
that
is accepted.
Yeah,
like if someone's like people would say it less if you're small, but it's just if you're big, they're like they comment.
Do you know
on
that
it.
would be rude if you said that to somebody short? If somebody walked on the elevator,
like, unless you're like,
and I go, holy shit,
you
you're
know,
really
like,
short, eh?
If you're like your frame is petite, right? Then people are almost like it's kind of cute, like oh my God, you're so cute, look how small you are. But if you're
even
short,
then, that's probably offensive as fuck.
That would
to
happen
person.
more. But if you're just straight up short, people like wouldn't really address it. But if you're tall, that's like the one people are just fucking.
They don't give a fuck.
They'll drive by, they're like, yo, you're tall. Like, they yell it out the window.
I get it all like shows and you're like, holy like literally like that's a huge bitch. like
Deuce Bigelow, right?
Yeah, for real, right?
Holy shit, he's Bigfoot.
Yeah. So I mean, like I'm grateful that like I mean I was made fun of as a kid for being fat, and then I started getting tall, and then I was tall and fat, and then I became a giant, and then it was like so I have that respect and understanding for people of like the empathy. Of like, yo, you don't want to make people feel like shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, come on, you don't want to be doing that. It's no fun.
You don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, because like I've been on the reverse end of it, like my entire life. Like, why would you ever want to make somebody feel like shit about something?
Yeah.
And even if they have some other outlook or views, good on them.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of being human. Is finding like your path with shit. You know, having your own opinions, having your own views, having things that you don't like. You know. It was like when I brought back a few podcasts ago. If I meet Bob who doesn't like music, and I'm like, dude, you're fascinating.
Yeah, you're like, whoa.
Yeah, and so then I started thinking about it in the sense where like I'm so eclectic and into my own things that people would like, so that when I can find somebody that's so far fetched from what I would even think of as entertaining or cool or whatever, but they're so deep into it nowadays, rather than, you know, like the young Curtis when I was still fucking I was a piece of shit when I was a fucking kid, man. I was a piece of fucking shit, like just the most judgmental fucking like probably fucking racist, just piece of shit, like just closed-minded everything, like just put down everything in front of me that I didn't like, and it was just like,
how come you think?
The upbringing. Yeah, there was a lot of that. Like my dad to the day is still one of the most judgmental people that I know. Like literally, like it was like, would you be like, dude, man, you'd be driving down the street and like you'd see somebody smoking, and like you'd be like a kid, and he'd be like, oh, look at this person with their cigarette, probably having a cigarette, can of Coke, and a chocolate bar for breakfast. Fucking Surrey piece of shit. And you're just like, whoa. I don't know if you threw that last part in there, but it was definitely like, oh, the can of Coke and cigarette
just
for breakfast.
Like exponentially would just add shit to make them.
And you're just like, dude, you don't even know this person.
Yeah,
like, you don't even know this person. And, you know, and it goes down the road where we end up, you know, like I find out how insecure the fucking guy is about him actual self, and you're like, oh, that's why you judge everybody. And so it was just like you're afraid of like even judging yourself. Like, so it was like that's been one of the biggest things of me shaking over the past like decade, has just been like that judgment and like just being open to that shit, right? So, but then now when I get to that point where the worst. I was in my most miserable points in my life was when I was like trying to be really like stubborn in my ways and you know, and you're like, no, that's not how the fucking be, you dumbass. Like, so then now like I say, I meet somebody that's so far fetched with what they're into, and I'm just like, dude, like respect totally, like I don't get you at all, like, but you're so into that it's fucking amazing. It's like you're just doing you, man. Like, high five, man. Yeah. Like, give me a hug. That shit's sick. That's all you can ask. Teach me about this. I still don't get it. I don't get it at all. But you fucking love it. That's amazing. And that's what counts. Yeah. And that's exactly it. You fuck with it, so. Yeah. And you fuck with it hard, so I fuck with you. Yeah, for real, dude. Straight up. Yeah. Yeah, it's fucking, that one's an interesting one when you start to, like, grow up a bit, you know? Realize that we're all just people. Everybody doesn't have a rat race, fucking clue what's going on. That's the big one. People just, it'd be so much easier if everyone just admitted that they don't fucking know what's going on, right? Like, but nobody wants to admit that. Yeah, dude. No, I got this under control. What are you talking about? I know what I'm doing. I wake up every morning and go to work, and I got my punch my clock, and I could come home and I watch TV and I go to bed, and I know what I'm doing. You're like, I don't know, and I'll be the first to admit that I make this shit up as I go along. I fucking struggle all the time. I fucking made a post about it the other day where it's like I still want to give up all the time. Like, dude, yeah. Dark points fucking rear end, and they're like, dude, this isn't working out. You should probably. You haven't reached like where you thought you would be, and you're just like you hold high expectations for yourself. Yeah, just those moments where you just sit down and you're just like, you kind of look around and you're like, you're literally just like, yeah, fuck, you just feel defeated, like, man. Defeated, that's a good word. Yeah, that was me yesterday. I almost fucking texted you being like, fucking, yo, no pod tomorrow. I'm not even kidding, because I was in a fucking weird ass slump. So I get in those weekly, man, dude. Oh yeah. Sucks. So what's been helping with me a lot, which I try to, I'm glad that I'm getting back to it now. But it's fucking gratitude practice. Gratitude practice. It's straight up like... Just elaborate for me. Yeah, I will. I'm going to give you an example of what I did yesterday, where something simple is like... I was like... I almost had a panic attack. Like, that's... My body just built up all this crazy shit. I don't even know what the fuck it was all about. You were at home? Yeah, I was home. And I think it was just lack of sleep, overworked, all this other shit built in. And then I was like, like, didn't know what fucking, like, I was just like, shut the fuck up, brain. Let me sort this shit out. So I literally had to just go lie down, like, with some, like, meditation music for, like, 20 minutes to just, like, try to just get into a Zen state, clear my brain out with lots of just heavy, deep breathing, figuring the shit out. And then all of a sudden I was like, okay, I can start to somewhat think clearly here. I still feel like fucking shit and hate myself. And I don't know why. And so gratitude practice is something, basically... searching for something simple that might be right in front of you. That could be... I've got both my fucking hands. I've almost lost this hand so many times in the tool shop. Or all these other shit. And these things still fucking work. Right. Okay. Well, I have my legs. I got a body. Like, you know, I know people who are missing limbs. Yeah. I know people that are born with bodies that don't work. Okay.
Just count your blessings.
Yeah, and it's literally starting from the simple shit of being like, I don't have a fucking hangnail. I don't like, you know what I mean? Like starting on something simple and being like, okay, you know, I'm grateful.
Food in my cupboard.
And then you start working your way up to shit like that, to where I was doing that. My cats came in the room and just started being all cute. And I was like, oh.
These guys, man.
Look at this shit. Like
boost my mood, you know?
Yeah. Like I got these fuckers to take care about. Yeah. They care about me. They don't care about anything else but like me. And I was like, all right. Okay. And then I got a little tweet and a little thing, like somebody liked one of my, liked and retweeted one of my things on Twitter by my sneaker fam. I'm like, okay, yeah, fucking, I met all these amazing people. Like, there's these amazing people out there that like interact with me, like the shit what I do, fucks with me.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, no matter what effort I put to it, they would still be stoked for it. And I'm like, oh fuck, okay. Fucking, I'm so stoked to do that podcast tomorrow. Like, dude, that's awesome. I was able to turn it around because there's so many things that I'm actually grateful for. You know what? Like,
that's good.
That I was,
as you should be.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So it literally, and that's what gratitude practice is.
I see. Okay.
Is being able to like get yourself into like a meditative state where you can just even simply control your breathing. Because like if you're, you know, you get worked up and you know, you're not even focusing on breathing properly. Like you're fucking driving yourself more and more insane. Right. So then all of a sudden, if you just lay down, fucking shut some shit out, put on some calming music, start just focusing on your breathing, reset, take a shower, you know, and then just start small. I woke up today. I woke up not in a fucking war zone.
I got running water,
right?
I can
like
drink.
You can start with the simplest, cheesy. You know, you remember how I said this before? When you sometimes have to preface, stuff like this to kind of like make it seem okay,
to justify it.
Yeah, it's literally that. You start with the simplest shit.
Yeah, that's good, man. I mean, I don't, dude. Lots of people don't even think about that basic stuff, man. They take stuff for granted.
Yeah,
and they're worried about what they want versus what they need, and what they have.
Exactly.
And there's always the next thing they're chasing or the next person they're trying to impress.
That's the big one. And the hovering expectation thing is usually one of the biggest fucking killers.
Yeah, and you know, I get that way sometimes too, thinking like, you know, when you're like, fuck, how am I gonna like trying to get people to like me or like go out and like fit in?
Yeah.
And then like even today I was kind of laughing about it. I was getting ready to come over here and I was like, I don't know why I get so caught up on trying to get people to like me. Like, fuck it, man. Like, I like me.
Yeah.
You know, like,
yeah,
I'm around myself
for real, dog.
24/7. So what the fuck do I care about these people that I see like 2 hours maybe ever?
Which the funny thing too, you know, is that like if some of them that might be uncomfortable nowadays when they meet you might be the fact that they're uncomfortable with the fact that you're so comfortable with yourself. That's the one I get all the time.
Dude, I remember I actually had that conversation. I remember going over to my friend's house at a party not too long ago. I was talking to one of his friends and she was like, you never know how people perceive you, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Okay, so hadn't really had one-on-ones with this girl before, you know, like kind of see her in passing and whatnot. But I remember talking to her and she was like super nervous.
Right.
Like it was really obvious that she was really nervous, but I didn't know what it was about, right? I thought maybe she just had some shit going on, whatever. But it finally like talking to her, because she like wasn't really looking at me. She was looking down and like fidgeting with stuff. And like eventually I just kind of was like, oh, I'm sorry to like interject, but I was like, are you okay? Yeah, because she seemed like like maybe she got in an argument with someone and she was just kind of like distraught about something. Yeah. She was just really like distracted and like I wasn't really sure what's going on. So I was kind of like, yo, like, you good? Like, are you okay? And then she's like, I'm sorry, like, and I was like, what's up? You know, like. She's like, oh, I'm really nervous talking to you. And I was like, I almost laughed, like, not to be rude. Yeah. But I was like, talking to me, like, what? Like, what do you mean, right?
She's like, what do you mean?
Yeah, I was like, what? And I was like, I'm like the most non-judgmental.
Yeah.
I was like,
It's
I'm
just
not
so
intimidating
bizarre.
either. Like, why would you be nervous talking to me? But she was like, oh no, I'm sorry. Like, it's just like weird talking to you. Like, I've never talked to someone that like is so passionate and like is doing what they want to do and like knows what they want to do and is good at it. And she's like,
she's like just frustrated and wanted to be.
Just going to what you were saying were about the confident thing, right? Yeah. And her explaining it, and I was like, it wasn't that she was nervous talking to me. She was nervous. Those things that she was saying that she was like envious that I possessed is what she was. Didn't feel comfortable with herself because she didn't think that she possessed those same qualities. Right. So she felt she was telling herself that she like wasn't good enough. Yeah. Or like wasn't on the same level to like to even just and that conversate.
So bad too, because it's like, no.
And I was like, no, dude. I was like, I told her, I was like, yo, like, I don't know what I'm doing, yo. I was like, I like doing this, so I keep doing it. Yeah. I was like, I don't really make money from it. And, like, I don't have anything to say or like a measuring bar that I've gotten out of it.
Right.
You know, so it goes to like, you don't know how people perceive you, right? Because I know me, like I know my thinking and like in what it takes to do stuff and stuff I don't like and projects I've scrapped, whatever. But to her, like she only knows me from like through friends talking about me or like
she only knows
through my like social media, right?
She only knows like the output broad spectrum of the light.
So she has this idea.
She has another projector back here.
Yeah. She has this idea of like who I am, right? And I was like, that's not.
That's the funny ass thing with social media. That comes full fucking circle. This
right? And it became this big conversation when I was like, so what do you do? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why aren't you stoked that you do that? Like, I sort of know like that you've done these type of things. Like, you should be stoked that you've done that. And like, and then it became like, I was like, man, you really don't think like that. Like, and you've probably never had anyone tell you that like, yo, I'm proud of you, or like, I'm stoked for you. Like, good job doing that. Like
that's crazy.
It became like super like apparent to me that I was like, man, like I don't think like it was the upbringing. And I was like, you definitely came up in a place where people didn't like.
You're shot down left, right, and center.
Yeah.
Like that, what you're displaying right now was probably tenfold on the outside of everybody being like, when they'd see you be good at something, they would fucking shut you down.
Yeah.
And be like, nah, don't do that.
Rather than telling you what you did good at it. Yeah. It's like, oh, you did a good job with this. Like this is within that. That's what you did good at. But they probably just picked out what you did bad within that rather than the good.
I think about that shit so much, man. Like that's been a thought
that shit was
in my
like
head.
It's like I really remember that conversation just because I was so like caught off guard by it.
Yeah. You're like, how can you?
And I was like, yo, like what?
Like not. It's not saying that we were ever like. I mean, obviously, both of us had different.
It was like disturbing almost. Yeah. I was like, fuck.
We both definitely like had different upbringings, but neither of us were in like the perfect utopic. Like,
no, not at all.
You know what I mean? Like you're our prodigy child. We're gonna make sure you have everything you need to do what you need to do. You know, it wasn't that. That wasn't part of our generation. You know what I mean?
I think both of us. What our common ground was that. We didn't have a role model and we didn't have someone to show us a path to go.
Oh, fuck no.
And we were just, we were left to be.
Well, I had a role model. His name was Michelangelo. He taught me to like pizza and nunchucks.
Yeah. But you know what I mean though? Like,
of course I do.
We were products of just being left alone with ourselves.
Yeah. Latchkey kids, man.
And
I love that term so much.
Yeah. And it really was like, I spent so much of my upbringing alone.
Oh God, yeah, dude.
Even though I had a brother, he would be somewhere else. Yeah. You know what I mean?
For real.
So a lot of my time I was fucking alone, and that's when I would do shit alone. Yeah, that's when like I would draw shit too, alone. Right? I would fucking go for walks and just like look at nature. Yeah. Like I would do shit alone.
And it'd be that funny
I didn't
one
have an option. So that's why I'm okay with
your parents would be away so much of the day. Yeah, they come home, and then when they were around,
they were gone when I would get up. I would get home from school. They would still wouldn't be home yet.
Yeah. But then it's funny how that works. That you get so comfortable being alone that now you don't want to spend time with them when they are around. So you go fucking lock yourself in the room or like do some shit or like at least that was definitely the way for me.
Yeah, I'm way better with that now.
Oh, nowadays,
when I go,
yeah.
like,
but when I was a kid,
I love spending time with my family now.
when I was a kid, man, I was locked in my room, fucking
yeah.
music cranked, taking bong rips, just to like fuck.
For me, it was music cranked, fucking doing art.
Yeah. It's so much art, dude. And that was the same thing. Like I think back to that shit now, where if I would have if I have somehow had a kids, or if I put myself in my parents' situation, if I saw somebody with my talent when I was a kid drawing, I would have just been like, fuck everything else. Like, you're gonna be a graphic designer, or find something throughout this. Just keep doing it. Keep keep drawing.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, like, my parents definitely have backed things I got into.
Oh, for sure. And mine did too. They definitely did. But those
were things I found on my own.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
but that was always my escape, in the sense from from the reality that I was told.
Yeah.
This is the way things are. You're supposed to go do this. You're supposed to, like, by the time you're this age, you should have that.
Like, still, I've never gone to post-secondary.
Right.
And, like, my parents don't really give me heat about it anymore. My dad sometimes brings it up, but that was a big thing for a long time.
Oh, fuck, our generation
with lots of people, with other friends being like, oh, you're not going to school, or like, oh, you catch up years later, you run into them on the bus or something, and they're like in their third year or something.
The fact that means something,
and like, I haven't done anything, is always like from friends or friends of friends. What do you do? Or whether it be your family always wanted to. Dude, I remember one time coming home and there was a fucking pamphlet on my dresser for like an art school, and I was like, yo, subtle. I was like, so subtle, guys. And
they might just think it's like,
and I know they're trying to help, they're coming from a good place, whatever,
but you are just like, come on, like, I'm like, really. But dude, the funny one for me was always like, people fucking like the whole, like, you need to go to school thing, and then like, I was so against it until I found something I wanted to go to school for. Imagine that. Fucking recording audio engineering. And then I went to school twice for that. And then I went to school for guitar repairs, Lutherie school on the island.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. So it was just like, why would you not want to go to school for that?
That'd be
fucking amazing.
It's like, I'm not going to do the years of general studies, and just because it's like, I'm expected to go and do it.
You come out and,
dude, I even remember
4 years just to become a barista.
Dude, I had an ex-girlfriend. We were going to go on a trip. And like, ex-girlfriends always gave me heat about like not going to school and shit. Right. I don't know, whatever. But I remember one time, like, I wanted to go on a trip.
Is that the one that I remember you with for a longer period of time?
It's been most of them.
Okay, yeah.
But I remember one time I wanted to go on a road trip.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, you should come, right? Like, let's do it together.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, my dad won't let me, right? And I was like, why? He said, because he's not in school. You can't go on this road trip with him because he's not in school. I was
like,
wait,
what?
Yeah. Try to make sense of that.
Oh.
I was like, so if I was in school, like if I was just in school rather than working and making money right now, you'd totally be okay with it.
Okay. Yeah, that's just, I mean, that's obviously a generational thing.
I was like,
so you're going to either have to figure if you want to keep listening to daddy, or you can you're old enough to make your own decisions.
I was like, like, I'm not, I don't know, just like for years, like we'd get in these arguments with people or girlfriends, or then seeing like family point of views, and I'm like, okay, because like I'm not in school, I'm a piece of shit.
Yeah. It
was like literally like I was like, I feel like I'm a piece of shit because I'm not in school, but
check this one. You know what the next one is? Like, you know what the next one is that I'm feeling right now? People are starting to make me feel like a piece of shit because I don't have a girlfriend or a kid.
Yeah. That's
are you fucking kidding me,
dude?
You're fucking trying to make me feel like a piece of shit after you just pumped out your fucking third little shit rat? You're not even prepared for?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I didn't care about that for a long time, but getting older, I'm like, being single is cool till like ain't nobody around. You know what I mean? Like I understand that too. Like,
for sure.
I totally look forward to like having wifey one day with like but being like,
see, I'm not even sure if I do anymore.
But it's like you want that like I just don't want it to, so I can say that I have a wife or a girlfriend, but it's like imagine really having that fucking teammate. You know what I mean? Like you're a fucking team together.
See,
you complement each other. You push each other.
Right.
To have like, you know, perfect relationships not real, but to have someone that is the best version of it.
Right.
Totally get that.
For sure.
You know?
Yeah, see, I guess I'm like, I don't know, I've just spent so long working on myself that I'm so in love with myself and I'm so happy with what I do.
Yeah.
We're literally like the things that I want to do, I don't even see them being a possibility with somebody else, let alone like, you know what I mean? Something simple, even like the vlog. Like I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna fucking bring this massive camera around with me all the time. I'm gonna film what I do, and like,
you know what though?
But no, go ahead.
You know, maybe you just haven't. Well, clearly you haven't found the right one, as someone would say. Right. But you might meet someone, and you'd be like, the way you think about it now.
Yeah.
Once you're with them, and they may bring all this stuff to the table that pushes you, or they may hop on board and help you. And then once they do, you'd be like, I can't believe I did this for so long alone. Like, shit's so much better.
Well, see, like, and that's the standpoint
that's
where
what I want.
Right.
That's like, to get that feeling and be like, fuck. Like, that's like the teammate thing, right? When you're like,
I'm such a fucking, this is just like, I'm ever going to have this stubborn nature where like, I'm pushing to have that feeling on my own. Mm-hmm. I don't ever want to have that feeling from somebody else.
I'm not saying that you're looking for that to someone else to bring that, but I'm saying,
but I'm just simply trying to say that like I want to be like like I don't want to ever feel like I have any voids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm always just trying to take care of my own shit, and I've been taking care of my own shit for so long that I guess I'm probably just a bitter fuck now. But like that's definitely part of it. Where like I've probably even had girls like, I know I've had girls like to like the day I still get girls like messaging me, and I'm just like, I'm just not interested. Like I legit don't even want that in my life right now. Like I just, and again, that's right now. Time changes. I know that, but I've just gone through so much shit where it's like I have such conflicting opinions about it. Where like part of me is just like, fuck ever having a kid. Like definitely not getting married because fuck the government. They don't need that part of my fucking shit at all.
The certificate.
Yeah, like fuck that stupid shit. We'll have ceremony and the whole thing if she wants to have a ceremony, but then there's the other half of me that's the fucking, oh, we don't stop the whole thing, and I'm just like, and I don't know. I just know that they're all forks in the road, and I'm like so concentrated on where I want to be and know the amount of stuff that I want to do. And then that it's just like, this is going to take so much time on my own already that like, this is like 3 lifetimes worth of shit. Like, I don't have, and I think it's also the other fact too, that like, because of my dealing with anxiety and depression, that I have so much inside my head already that like one little person can like come tied into my shit. And like, I'll just think about that person all day long. Like I go so over, like it's that same head first shit where I'm just like fucking
Skadoosh.
Like in love by like week 3, like fucking just like, I'll do anything for this girl, blah blah blah, because I care about people so much. Like so I just like, I don't know, I think I'm all or nothing kind of guy with most shit. So that fucking all that energy right now is needed for me. All of it.
It's just not the right time, my dude.
Yeah, I generally don't give a fuck about it. I'm just like,
fair enough.
Yeah. And then not to mention the climate of today's dating scene is the most. It's just like even anytime I've been like.
What do you mean?
Like you poke your head up just to think about it, maybe, and then just like see what's out there, or like just kind of entertain the thought.
And you're just like,
I'm just like, and like immediately just like, dude, you had the right decision to just be staying. To just keep your fucking P's and Q's to yourself. leave the hiking catalog that is fucking Vancouver's online dating scene.
Do you get like how you're saying how people are like, oh, you're not married, you don't have kids, or like, do you get that from your fam? Like I low key get that from my parents. Like my parents want grandkids.
Right. Well, see, I get it in a different way where my brother has a kid.
Yeah.
So I see the crazy amounts of support that they give him to the point where it's like, you know, like fucking Christmas comes around or some shit, and like you get like your little Christmas check or something because they don't know what to buy you or some shit, and then like brother's not showing me his this year because it's probably like 5 to 10 times as much as I got, just because he has a fucking wife and kid. But yet, like, you know what I mean? Like there's that whole thing where it's just like you selectively
you get treated different.
Yeah, you selectively support the other one and I've had to like freak out at this about it a couple times. I'm like, look, if I had a fucking like, if I had like wife and this other shit and doing all this thing, you'd be fucking so stoked and supporting us through like anything. But it's just because it's like just me struggling on my own, it becomes this big thing. You know,
think they
like,
look at it as like, when is he gonna get his act together?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think like
yeah.
that when you have a wife and family, then your act is together.
Yeah, it's that kind of weird ass shit where you're just like, bitch, that isn't what's together in my mind, even the slightest. Like, that's usually a cop out from most things that I've seen of people copping out of their own shitty life.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I know some amazing parents and people who did deserve it, but I'm going to be completely honest. There's a large percentage of kids that are just fucking cop outs on people not having either problems, wishing that their fucking childhood was better, trying to find a situation to like keep a relationship together, fucking kids out of spite. I've seen spite kids.
Oh, fuck.
Like,
talk about a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, so I'm just like, so I don't know. I just stand back on all of it and just like, yeah, we're all just people. We got different paths. They're all not going to be understood, but you know,
for sure.
So that one's the interesting pressures of getting older. You're like, yeah, I don't.
The expectations, right?
I feel like literally, I've heard fucking Bill Murray summed it up the best, and he had a monologue about why he's still single. And it was like literally like exactly how I feel.
What did he say? What's the gist of?
I couldn't even fucking remember it now because it was like years ago when I first saw it. But it was just like legitimately that same thing where like he's such an all or nothing kind of person that like he would be so selfish in it that like I can't remember the way he put it, but I just remember it resonating with me wholeheartedly and just being in that sense where he's like, I don't know, he doesn't feel like he needs it to complete him, but at the same time he doesn't want to be
like dependent on it because it could be taken away, like something like that.
But also he doesn't want to be the person to ever let somebody down. You know what I mean? He doesn't want to be it's on that end of shit.
Okay.
Where like you think that people could actually find better than you. Like you think that people deserve better than what you have to offer because you're still trying to figure out your own shit. Like it was something along those kind of lines. Which was like, that's literally where I'm at. Like, I'm still like, I'm like, man, I still gotta like, I've loved myself so much, but I still really need to fucking find that place.
Right.
And then that's the, like, literally like that cliche saying of that you have to love yourself before you can expect anybody ever to love you, you know?
You gotta look out for number one first of all, right?
Yeah. So
once you're good, then you can.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's ultimately like what Bill Murray's thing summed up. He's like, I'm still fucking working on this shit.
Crazy,
you know. But under the same
super
guidelines,
honest of him.
Yeah. You know, because that's what you have to be though. You can't.
Well, I mean,
you can't be delusional.
About the people that aren't.
Yeah,
they just keep that shit buried, right? They don't mention it.
Well, then that's where he gets to that end of it where he would have been talking about where those relationships that would be together, the damage that it might be doing to the other person because this person's never figured out their own shit. You know? So it's
right. Yeah.
So it's weird. It's
just the compatibility, right? Just got to find that right.
And if that fucking compatibility is this guy,
you got to find that common denominator, right?
Yeah, word.
Yeah.
Which just for me so happens to be a Canon 80D mounted to a Joby Gorilla mount with a Shure fucking mic on top.
Never too far away.
My babe. Love that thing. Fuck, dude. So fucking, I brought it up last podcast, but that last podcast, that night on that Thursday was the live event stream from Tesla.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Where they announced the fucking semi trucks. Mm-hmm. And that alone, I'm such a tech guy. Like I watch the semi truck things and I'm like,
Yeah, I hadn't heard about it
I
until
was
until you mentioned it.
Stoked,
But
dude.
I saw something about it today. I kind of read a little bit. So
Yeah.
I'll let you continue.
So just some basic shit where, like, I'll just go into some super basic specs on like the semi trucks. The semi trucks are fucking
automated,
fully automated, single driver cockpit, low, like, so you got like you're really low center of gravity. All the batteries are mounted at the bottom, so the things can handle like a sports car. And then fucking they have 4 independent motors in the back wheels, so an independent motor per wheel, so it gives it crazy
per
amounts.
wheel.
Yeah, so it gives it crazy amounts of torque, and the whole thing they can work together with computers, so that one of the biggest problems with trailers is jackknifing your trailer.
Yeah.
So they're, because the thing's so smart and it has 4 independent motors, the motors will start working together. Even if you're trying to jackknife it, the motors will start working together and put power to different wheels
And like compensate.
so it's impossible to jackknife them.
Okay.
Yeah. And then so just a crazy shit where, like, down to little things like that to the big things like the charge can go up to 500 miles on a single charge with a full trailer.
With like full weight,
80,000 pounds. And it can, and without a trailer, it can go 0 to 60 miles per hour in 5 seconds. And with
5 seconds,
in 5 seconds, which is fast as fucking shit. With 80,000 pound trailer full load, it can do it in 20 seconds, which is actually fucking fast.
Whoa. How long does it take to charge? Like,
so this
like
is the cool thing that they have a whole fucking thing where they're having these mega.
Do you plug it in or do you take them out?
No, you plug it in.
Okay.
But they're having these new mega charge stations for the trucks that are installed all over the place, where they can get 400 miles worth of charge in half an hour. So basically, they and the whole thing is that an average, like the longest length return trip of a trucking thing is average, like they said, like 300 to 400 miles, like in one go without a stop.
Yeah.
So even on a full charge, they pulling a trip like that 500 miles is rated on a full trailer, so they can drive outwards of 400 miles or like 300 miles without a trailer, pick up a trailer, drive that 300 miles back, all in one charge. And so this whole
so they'll just have like these charging stations at like truck stops.
Yeah. They'll have
weigh-in
specific
stations or something.
Exactly.
So where they have to stop.
Right.
They can charge.
And so then the truck itself has these crazy sleek designs that has a better co-drag efficient than any supercar on the market right now. So when they put it in a wind tunnel, it gets better.
Super sleek looking.
Yeah, super sleek looking, where the fucking wheels are all like encapsulated in the fucking thing. And so fucking he's revealing all this shit. Like he came out, he drove one of them out. He drives one out.
One of the trucks?
Yeah. And he hopped, because he said that anybody can drive them. Like they're so easy to fucking handle.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So he fucking hops out of the cockpit, and then they pull up the second one beside it that's all matte blacked out, the smaller version. And they're going over the whole thing, and it's just fucking like, I had my mind blown by the whole thing. I'm like, this is fucking amazing. This is fucking amazing. Like, I want to buy a truck. I'm gonna become a trucker. I'm gonna become a trucker.
Yeah, now I want
like, dude, he talks about the economics of it, because like I always kind of talk about how he's an economics fucking
nerd,
genius.
Right.
So he goes, okay, so what's the number one cost, or what's the number one
cost
yearly
efficient
cost repair that they have to do? Their windshields. So we put in thermonuclear proof glass. We guarantee that this fucking glass in these windows will last through a nuclear explosion, so that this windshield will never have to be replaced ever. And so so he's like, so
how
then
expensive is that then?
So then these truckers will never have to have because there's a law out where apparently if a trucker has a cracked windshield, they're not allowed to drive. Their truck has to be taken off the road and then serviced before they can go do their load again. Right. So now their truck's off the road. They're not making their time. Well, I mean, they're not making their money.
Yeah, they have that with normal cars. If your car's windshield is cracked, like a certain percentage, you'll get ticketed, right? Yeah. But I see some people, it's fucking right across, and then it'll spider up.
So fucking he did that, and then he goes, oh, and just to give you a little more peace of mind, it has an what did he say? An infinite warranty guarantee you that this machine will never break down ever. What? Like, it's just like, yeah, no, like it never is gonna break down ever, because there's no transmission, there's no any of that other moving parts and shit. It's all one gear, it's all fucking, and he's just like figured out a way to make it all work, and he's just like bam, like dropping all these crazy bombs, and then you're like I'm sitting here at the end of the thing going like,
the whole
fuck.
world's just gonna swap in their cars.
Yeah, so dude, to the whole point where now, because they're automated with the code drag efficient that they have this computer program, that like algorithm that will like perform a road train action where they'll get like a car length behind each other, and so now they'll go 3 or 4 of these massive trucks in a row. So by the time you get to the truck at the back, he's experiencing no wind drag whatsoever, so his gas mileage has gone up like 3-fold because it's drafting, right? So now they're creating these things, so now they can do these road trains,
do shit in unison,
so that they can go 3 to 4 times farther. And because it's all computer program, they can get as close as possible, get the best drag possible. Like, whoa, they're never gonna crash, they're never gonna break down, they're never gonna fucking.
And these are, is it what, as early as like
2019, I think he said 19? Those are coming out.
Okay.
Yeah. And then so fucking just like the craziest live event. And we're just like, my mind was blown. And then he's like, he finishes the thing off, the trucks start to pull out, and he's like going to shake the hands of people and shit. And you're just like, you're a fucking madman, Elon. You're fucking nuts.
It's so
and
awesome.
Then the one truck stops. Lights shut off. Beastie Boys starts playing. It's a fucking sabotage. What the fuck? What's going on here?
Transform into something.
It's a sabotage. And then like fucking lights come on. The truck door pops open, and this fucking sports car comes flying out of the back of the fucking truck.
Shut the fuck up.
Faster than fucking anything you've ever fucking seen.
It's like the Batmobile just boom,
it's this red little sports car with like no roof on it, and it's flying around doing burnouts and shit.
On the stage?
It's a big open there at like an airport hangar.
Oh fuck.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I thought this whole thing was on a stage. I was like, what?
Yeah, because they brought up full semi trucks with the trailers, right?
Holy fuck, dude.
So then the one semi pulls off, this one turns around, and then the lights shut off, door opens.
I need to see this.
Car pulls out. I'm going to show you.
So people think it's done.
So people think it's done.
Oh, cool. And he's
and
like,
remember when I told you his tweet where he's like, this event's going to blow your mind. And it's going to be world changing?
Because it was that?
Because it was because of this. So what did he do after unveiling semi trucks that are going to change the world?
Show me this shit.
He fucking unleashes
a motorcycle?
No, the car. Oh. So the car comes out, but the car is the world's fastest production car ever made. Goes 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds. 0 to 100 in 4.9. Like,
all right, let's see this shit.
Yeah, so fucking everybody thinks the thing's fucking done, and then he comes out with the Tesla Roadster 2.
Is it like sick looking though?
Oh, dude, it looked like I want one.
That's it?
Yeah, look at this thing. So yeah, it was just nuts, man.
Whoa.
Wait till
What's it called?
The Roadster 2.
Roadster 2.
Yeah, so fucking wait till you see the launch of this thing. Watch how fast it goes. Like when it takes off, it's stupid. Like it's lit. Ugh. So because he started joking in the thing that like what's faster than light speed? What's faster than ludicrous speed? Plaid. And then so he said that they're with this they go plaid.
Fucking Spaceballs.
So when you
reference.
hammer it, yeah. So when you hammer it in this car, you know how they have the digital like iPad dash or whatever? It freaking shoots the plaid design through the like over the overlay of the design, so like you're going really fast and then it looks like you're going plaid. Like he put all this nerdy shit in it and stuff.
Oh my god, are you
like,
serious?
Yeah, I want to see this thing take off, man. It's so fast, dude. Because there's like 10,000.
Are these all? Whoa, that car was sick.
Yeah, watch how fast this goes.
Whoa.
Which you should see the shot from inside. And it just goes. Like there's no sound or anything. It's just like and you're just like hitting 100 miles per hour
so it's just
in
silent.
4 seconds. Yeah. 100 miles per hour in 4 seconds, dude. And the car has a fucking 1,000 kilometer range on it. So you fucking like that's
Per charge.
yeah, per charge. So you're already now getting better range than gas cars. Like, so yeah, you fucking that crazy bastard. Like, I'm gonna try to find some of the other footage because this isn't the best, but
Dude, that's sick.
yeah. So he just freaking is just like, oh, okay, we're here for this crazy event and world's fastest car.
Psych. We're not done.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Fucking so crazy. I want to find the one.
This was what, 2 days ago? Three
yeah,
days ago?
on Thursday. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, 3 days ago.
Yeah, I read
Yeah, watch this. This is
a little thing about the event, and it was saying that the people that
yeah.
whoa,
This shit looks.
oh, go back.
Yeah, I know. This is the one I was looking for. It looks like out of a fucking movie. Watch this.
He's like, psych.
Boom.
Holy shit, yeah.
Like that's so fast. That acceleration is insane, and that's not him hammering on it. Oh, and then he goes through after releasing all this information about it. We just fastest production car to date. Blah blah blah. Oh, and just a little piece of information for you guys. This is the base model,
Classic.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck, man. So
Well, like, just yeah, this is my first attempt.
yeah, cool. Well, they did the Roadster 1 initially, which was do you remember the little Lotus cars?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was one of those, but redone with electric guts. So it still had the frame. So I'll show you what the Tesla Roadster 1 looks like.
I had a friend's brother had one of those Lotuses.
Oh, no
He
shit?
Fucking totaled it. Yeah. It was bright orange.
No, that's the new one.
But yeah, saying I read a thing saying that
Yes, that's the original Roadster there.
about his reveal and the people that like were like backing it, investing,
Yeah, yeah.
and then Walmart already invested in like it was like 15 or 18 of them. They were
Oh,
like
yeah,
right
yeah,
away
for sure.
we're gonna get them, and then
For the Semi?
yeah, and then just some other Canadian companies are some of the first people to be on board for it right away.
Yeah, dude, that's just going to be crazy. Like, that's literally the kind of stuff that's actually going to change shit. Like,
It'll be like, it seems far-fetched now, but it will just be the norm. Like in
well, dude, he was
30
talking about,
years, you know what I mean?
with that whole like road train thing, when they're towing at max capacity, he worked out the economics that it's going to be more economical than trains, which nobody's been able to figure that out. That's why we still have trains, because it's the most logical way to transport stuff over long distances. You just load up those containers, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's like, nah, we figured that out too. Like,
Dude, his team, right? Like,
oh, it's so fucked.
I wonder how much of it is him and how much of it
Well, it
is
all
his
starts with
team.
him. It all starts with him.
He's
He
like
knows-
the George Lucas. He just has the ideas and he's like, yo,
yeah.
make
He
it.
he knows the engineering inside and out of everything that he does. That's the fucked up part. Like, look at that dash piece. Yeah, this is the one that's inside the car. This one's fucking awesome. Look at that dash.
Whoa.
You get to see it go
It's
plaid.
huge. Dude, that's like 3 times the size as a normal one.
Yeah, dude.
Look at that steering wheel.
Yeah, it's one of those little like fighter pilot steering wheels.
Whoa. So it gives you an overview of the car.
Yeah.
Is that how you start it and stuff? Do you like select stuff
I
from
don't
a
even
menu?
know. This car says like nothing on the dash.
Dude, look at
and
that
shit.
steering wheel.
So crazy. I'd still want a round one so I could fucking
It looks
drift,
like a
but-
fucking PSP.
yeah. Fuck, man. Dude, that looks like the steering wheel that he had in James Bond when the Lotus when it became a submarine.
Yeah.
0.9 seconds, I'm ready.
Oh man. Yeah, this guy's reaction. He's just like, "What the fuck?" And you'll get to see the plaid on the dash.
Is
Okay.
Elon driving?
No, this is just some test guy.
Mm.
Oh my god.
Whoa, shit.
Yeah.
You can hear it, eh? You can hear
Yeah.
it skirt,
Because
skirt
it's
a little
gonna
bit.
take some very specific tires and algorithms to put that grip down.
So does he have his own tire brand, do you think?
I don't even know.
Oh, wow.
But I guarantee you a lot of that's gonna be done through computing. Like they'll figure out a way to just like keep traction, you know?
Mm.
But dude, so nuts, man. So fucking nuts. Like you
Fucking
come out
salute.
to yeah, dude.
Salute to you, sir.
Exactly. Like, you
Fuck
know,
yeah. So
I always
cool.
have our Elon Musk minutes.
Yeah.
But
Dude, that shit's so cool, man.
we live in the fucking future, dude. We live in the fucking future.
Would you like to know more?
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, so fucking that was the big one, man.
Cool,
Fucking
man.
It was just like watching that shit. I'm getting my mind blown by semi trucks, and like I kind of walked away,
You're jazzed up on a fucking
and then I
semi.
heard fucking Beastie Boys comes on. And I'm like,
You're
what
like,
the
you're like,
hell?
what? What's the suggested
No
video that's
way.
playing, right? And you're like, oh, it's still the thing.
Oh, that's how you do a fucking drop, man. Like,
Yeah.
and that's literally not caring about the outside world. That's just like, okay, I'm gonna build this badass thing alongside this other badass thing and then I'm just gonna like, oh, like,
I'm gonna apply this badass thing to something that's already badass.
Yeah.
Right.
so freaking. I think I kind of
Yeah.
mentioned him a little while ago. MKBHD. He does like these tech channel reviews. Marcus Brown. He just did like a video talking about the Tesla Roadster because he has like the newest Tesla, but he has it on lease. So he put out a video being like, when my lease is up, the Roadster 2 is going to be available. Do you guys think I should get it? Because it's going to be like 200 grand or some shit. Like,
Oh fuck.
I mean, dude, the world's fastest production car. Like, you're beating supercars and shit. Like, it is a piece of fucking the future. But yeah, it was interesting seeing his output on it and input because he's
the first video, yeah.
yeah, he just goes in depth talking about it and shit. But like, yeah, just freaking ever, you know me, man, ever impressed by technology where we're at. I see stuff like that and I go, I guess that's where we're at.
Right. Tomorrow is today.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
Fuck, man.
dude, that's sick.
Yeah, it's
Awesome.
just gonna be crazy. Need to get me that Tesla sponsorship.
Oh, God, eh? Right. That'll be one.
And for
one for the
reals,
books.
though. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Well, fucking.
Am I looking at that right? It's about. That's fucking 3 hours. I think.
Shit, no. When did we start? Yeah, fuck. We're almost at 3.
Is there?
Yeah, because we were just after fucking
yeah.
11:15 or so. Yeah, we're 2 hours and 46 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Holy shit, dude.
Went by fast.
That was a fucking fast ass podcast. Fucking. Yeah, I don't know. I guess that
Covered a
is.
lot of shit. I mean, there's some other stuff that
There's some other stuff
obviously
that I
had
want
to
to get
say,
into
but
too.
I think
but
that'll
like,
be good
I
for another
feel
one.
Like if I opened up another thing, we'd be going for fucking like another hour at least.
Yeah.
So let's make this somewhat reasonable for everybody that's listening, and
Right.
we'll call it for today. But yeah, that was a great fucking podcast. Thanks so much for everybody that was listening.
It's a
or
good one
watching.
today. Yeah.
And also, if you don't know, I kind of have been reiterating this every time. We're now available on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, and you can watch us live on Twitch.
Hey.
Thanks for being my hype pop.
The pop-up video.
But I was just gonna say pop up video. Oh fucking shit! So
Man.
awesome. Well, thank you guys as always for listening, watching, and tuning in to the Deep Seated Podcast.
Yes, sir.
We'll see y'all next time Wednesday. Yeah,
Wednesday. Yeah.
Wednesday. Yeah. All right. See you later, fam. Have a good day.
Peace, guys.
Peace.
Yeah.